welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach.
And tonight, we are continuing Phase 2 of the MCU with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right? Dude,
The first one.
I remember when this movie was announced, and it was just like, it was so weird. I'm like, they're doing what? The Guardians of the Galaxy? Like, I'd barely even heard of them. I was vaguely aware of them because of, reading some comic books and doing a couple things. The idea of them doing a film for it was insane.
Yeah.
Like, bonkers. And it's at the top of my list on my favorite MCU movies. It's up in like the top 5.
Yeah. No, I was with you too. I had heard of the comics, and I knew there was a raccoon. That was just literally, that was it. I knew it was one of those kind of team comic book movies. Team comic book runs, but a team of kind of, I knew it wasn't set on Earth, and I knew it had a raccoon. And that was it. But this was a time, and it's one of the references now really fast. I rewatched today the Honest trailer for this, which is
I didn't watch that.
It's hilarious. Oh my gosh, it's just basically the sum up is Marvel is just so high on their own power. They're just like, we're gonna give you, here's your third Chris, and here's a talking raccoon and a tree. We're gonna cast Vin Diesel and have him do 3 words over and over again. Just like, and you're gonna watch it. Why? Because we're Marvel and F you. I mean, that was like, just. I don't think that was actually what's happening behind the scenes, but it was just funny because I do remember this being the time where just like I'll be there. It was. I mean, we had. This is one of those things I think we'll be telling kids about, trying to make them understand later. It's like, no, this was an era when these movies are coming out where the hype train was going to the point where we were on board, and we were in for it, and we were going to give almost anything a shot. So, and then this turned out to be a fantastic movie, which is, that's the best. People say, how do you make something new and original succeed? Well, rule number 1, make it good. That always helps.
Yeah. And this movie really changed a lot. It changed Marvel, introducing the cosmic side, and it really brought James Gunn to the forefront, and he's almost single-handedly transformed the film industry almost. Certainly the comic book film industry.
I think that, there's definitely an argument for how much impact... absolutely an argument for how much of an impact Chris Nolan had with the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
I think, there's a couple key things, because, you had obviously Donner with the original Superman, and you had Burton with Batman, being just massive influences on comic book movies and how they were perceived. But then you had, as much as, yes, the original Spider-Man trilogy and X-Men trilogy were huge, I'm not denying that, but I don't think you kind of didn't have it until Nolan, and then Favreau, I think, doesn't get as much credit as a director, even though Iron Man was such a big deal. But I'm sorry, when it comes to influence and who's going to be talked about, I think Nolan still is going to be higher than as big as Iron Man was.
For sure.
Nolan's big. But then after that, I do think that you have James Gunn and you have the Russo brothers.
I think Taika Waititi should be mentioned, but not necessarily.
I think he fizzled off so fast. It's one of those things where if Love and Thunder had hit, I would agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main thing. Is it just James Gunn? As much as I have my issues with Superman, he's still made another huge movie. He's now working in DC. Yeah, he James Gunn. I'm talking about. He had a massive influence on tone. We were talking about before we started recording. I think in some ways he's a Whedon-esque type personality as far as just some of the things that he loves to bring on, ensembles and just this brand of humor
Quippiness.
and quippiness in. But I also think on the film side, I think he's better than Whedon. Whedon's real strength is in television. I really do think that.
Yeah.
But
And hopefully he's not as creepy behind the scenes.
oh, I hope so. But when I say the Russo brothers, I just mean because Infinity War and Endgame, and then we just watched it, recently with Winter Soldier. They took kind of the big Marvel stuff, and the fact they managed to execute as good as they did 4 times. Starting with Winter Soldier, and then Civil War, and then Infinity War and Endgame is an accomplishment. And they directed, Endgame is, I think it's the highest grossing film in history worldwide, I believe, and it's like the second in the U.S. The only person that competes with them when it comes to big movies as far as receipts are, James Cameron films. So that's a whole other conversation. But anyways, but James Gunn, as far as the tone, because Russo brothers, I think they're just very competent at the big things, but they don't have the personality stamp isn't nearly as obvious as James Gunn. Is that fair?
Yeah. I would say that that's fair because, like, I loved what the Russos did with, like, Community and stuff like that. And I think that they have some really good comedic abilities, but it's not front and center, in their films. And the other things they've tried, they seem to be really stunt and special effects focused. They remind me in a lot of ways of, and we mentioned this with Winter Soldier, and in a lot of ways of James Cameron or George Lucas, in how they're more interested in what they can do with film itself than the story and characters in the film.
Yeah. That's where I think if you put them with good writers and good pre-established characters, their strengths really shine. But when you give them something just random, a Netflix property or something.
Gray Man?
Yeah, it's just, you get something much less special because their competency is still there, but it's just, there's nothing else interesting happening. So, versus James Gunn, he has his own, I was talking before we started recording, I love the term fingerprints. His fingerprints, his personal fingerprints are all over his work. Whether you love him or not, that's fine, but they're undeniably his films, It's not a made by committee film that he happened to direct. That's not how James Gunn works.
No, it's really not. But with this particular movie, I'm really psyched. And one of the really interesting things about this is that it was first mentioned by Kevin Feige back in like 2010 after the success of Captain America or Iron Man 2, one of those. And they're talking about just like how he wanted to adapt more obscure comics. And he specifically mentioned like Guardians of the Galaxy got a reboot in the comics recently, and they're doing some really cool things, and he liked them. And then because of that comment, this woman, okay, her name's Nicole Perlman, and she's listed as one of the writers for this movie. She is. She hasn't done much, like at all. She's called a screenwriter, but she doesn't have like a ton of stuff to her name. And let's see, she's written 6 movies, directed 2 short films, and produced 1 little thing. But she wrote a script for Guardians of the Galaxy using their 2008 reboot, the comic book reboot, I should say, team of Gamora, Drax, Star-Lord, Rocket, and Groot, and turned it into a really interesting script that that Disney picked up immediately and was like, we want to make this movie. And James Gunn latched onto it, and the 2 of them co-wrote this movie together. The other stuff she's done is like, she wrote Captain Marvel. She wrote Detective Pikachu. She has an assisted writing credit on the recent smash hit movie K-pop Demon Hunters.
Really?
So she's but she also apparently did some rewrites on Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, but she's listed as one of like 8 people. So that just ugh.
It's always hard too when you have that many writers to know, like, okay, so who actually did what?
Yeah. But it's just it's this miracle that this movie got made, and it's all thanks to this woman who wrote this really good script, and she hasn't really done much.
Yeah. Well, and this movie also, we were talking about Thor: The Dark World being a really key film for kind of just moving the MCU forward, like how much it was called back to. This movie is also one of those low key, major films when it comes to, okay, let's really nail down the Infinity Stones, like what they are, what's going on. This might have been the most. This was way more important than Age of Ultron when it came to what are we doing. I'm not trying to downplay Age of Ultron is not an important film as far as moving the MCU forward, and it gets called back to a lot. But this movie was where you could tell Marvel really committed to, okay, this is what we're doing. These are the Infinity Stones. This is where they came from. This is the origin of this Marvel universe.
What they had, what's his face? His first,
Thanos.
Josh Brolin's first appearance as Thanos.
Yeah. Yep. So this was just key to what we now, we think of the Infinity Saga, because they were just winging it up until now, right? Little bits and pieces, ideas here and there, Easter eggs they didn't really know what they were going to do with. And this was like, they finally sat down and were like, all right, we got to commit to this thing, and we got to get this, we at least got to get the outline down on paper, people.
Because this is the moment, especially between Avengers and Thor, right? Where they sat there and said, we're going to do something different in the film space that's never been done, and we're going to tell a single story across another 16 movies, and to have it finally culminate in a climax. And it's incredible that they were able to pull it off, but this movie and Thor really set that bedrock down, and everything else has been kind of a reaction to what they set up here.
Yeah.
And this movie is responsible for launching the careers of so many people. It's nuts.
Yeah. Well, and on a personal note, this movie is special to me because my oldest daughter, Natasha, who, if anybody hasn't listened to the episodes, she recorded the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy with Zach and I. So special shout out there. This was the movie that I was able to get her into the MCU with, and actually kind of into to comic books in general. She was not interested in the MCU. She's just like, couldn't care. We'd go to the theaters and see. She'd be like, "Can I go see this instead?" Or whatever. And finally, I was like, "No, come see Guardians with us. It's gonna be." Because I'd already seen it, and I was visiting my kids. I was like, you guys would love this." It's like, fine. I kind of had to almost drag her, she loved it. And then she retroactively then went back, and because I had them all on Blu-ray at that point, and she watched, all of the MCU up until this point. And now she loves the MCU, at least, through most of Phase 3 and parts of Phase 4. But this was kind of the movie that got, my most movie nerd child into the MCU. So on a personal note, this movie has a very special place in my heart because of that.
Yeah. And I remember talking with her when I was up there for your birthday a couple years ago, and she's really into the author Brandon Sanderson, who is doing kind of his own massive shared universe across multiple different book series, very similar to this, and she was really excited about those. And so I could totally see this being kind of an important thing for her.
Yeah. She still holds this movie I think this is easily in the top, probably the top 3 for her. If not, definitely the top 5. But this is. I mean, we talked during Winter Soldier. It's my personal favorite. I think it's yours. It is yours also. Last time we talked about that. But this is very highly regarded by me also. I think this is top 3 for me in the MCU.
Yeah, I think that I'd put this possibly in my top 3, definitely my top 5.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because that order does change a little bit depending on my mood. I've never had this not be my top 5.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but with that, why don't you give us the sweet deets? There's quite a few cast members, and there's oh my gosh, the amount of side roles that went to major actors in this too. I mean, gosh, you got a long list there, I'm sure. And then we will hit play after.
Right?
After you give us the rundown.
I'm gonna. Yeah. So, for the main details, we of course have Guardians of the Galaxy from the year of our Lord 2014, rated PG-13, 2 hours and 1 minute long. Directed by James Gunn, written by James Gunn, Nicole Perlman, and some credit is given to writer Dan Abnett, who wrote things like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, tons of Warhammer stuff, Spider-Man, and other Avengers-related animated TV shows and such. Really fun writer. He's one that I wanted to mention in addition to the other lady I mentioned, Nicole Perlman, because he has written so many fun things for like video games and books. He wrote the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale series and Alien Isolation, the video game, Warhammer 40k stuff, like the Eisenhorn Xenos, the book Eisenhorn. Book trilogy Eisenhorn for Warhammer 40k, the first one being Xenos, Magos, Heresis, and genuinely good science fiction author and novelist, in addition to the other things that he's written. And when I read that he had actually helped with the writing of this movie, I was blown away. I'm like, Dan Abnett? Like, the guy who I have like 4 or 5 of his books right here on my shelf? I'm not even huge into Warhammer 40k, and the Eisenhorn trilogy is genuinely good. So, thank you for allowing me to go off on a little side tangent there.
Yeah, go
Starring Chris Pratt, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Lee Pace, Michael Rooker, Karen Gillian, Jaimin Hansu, John C. Reilly, Glenn Close, Benicio del Toro. And then you get into the smaller roles, right? Sean Gunn is becoming a star in his own right, which I think is great, especially if you've watched Gilmore Girls. You know how fun he is.
He's a fun guy.
He is such a fun guy. But I also want to mention cameos made by people like Nathan Fillion and Rob Zombie, okay? And also Ralph Ineson, who went on to play the character of Galactus in the recent Fantastic Four First Steps film.
Yeah, I was watching the heavy spoilers, or I got most of the way through that video. They mentioned that, and I was like, that is cool. Yeah, he's just like in the background of a shot.
Yeah.
Well, James Gunn, he loves to throw some of his real life friends into his. Obviously, Sean Gunn is his brother, but he definitely I know that he's not in this Guardians. He's in later. Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor from Smallville, is in a lot of his projects and little bit roles also, right?
Yep, that is true. And he does that with a lot of them. In fact, a whole bunch of the just Ravager crew are just his friends.
Yeah. Well, like he and Nathan Fillion are pretty close friends also.
Oh yeah,
in real life.
They actually consider themselves like really good friends. Nathan Fillion has appeared in every single one of his movies.
Yeah, in some capacity. Didn't his part in Volume 2 get cut out? I thought that was a thing. It was filmed, but didn't make it into the final cut. I thought that was the one exception, but I could be totally wrong on that.
I'm not positive, actually. I need to look that up because we're not doing that one for a minute, and I haven't looked into it.
Oh, it's totally fine. Don't even worry about it. We'll deal with that when we get to it. But yeah.
Yeah.
But then you've got like prestige actors, like Glenn Close and
right?
John C. O'Reilly and people like that.
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly.
John O'Reilly. Yeah. But yeah, it's having Glenn Close in here is so weird to me. I'm just like, what? But this
Benicio
also,
del Toro.
yeah, one of the great weaknesses of this movie, unfortunately, is its villain, Ronan the Accuser, played by Lee Pace, and It's really sad because Lee Pace is so stinking good. He is an amazing actor. He's a ton of fun to watch. If you ever watch shows like Pushing Daisies or Foundation, um, or even the Hobbit trilogy, he's great in that, despite not being a great movie in and of itself.
Yeah,
And
makes a good elf.
I just, yeah, he does make a good elf. It's just he's so good, and I'm like, surely they can still use him in something else, right? Like,
You wouldn't be able to recognize him, so you
Please?
you could reuse him in the MCU. Although I'm not sure he'd want to come back. Well,
I don't know.
He came back
he's-
for Captain Marvel.
Yeah, he's a pretty chill guy. And I love him, and I want him to be a star in more things than he is, I guess.
Yeah. But with that, you want to get into this, or you got anybody else you want to talk about?
Let me see here. Nope, I'm good. Let's go. Let's go.
All
Let's
right.
go.
Well, we're gonna hit that play button in 3, 2, 1, go.
Man, yeah, there was this breakdown that we both tried to watch on the channel Heavy Spoilers.
It's 3 hours long.
I thought it was like an hour and a half long.
Maybe I was watching the one on the whole trilogy. You know what? I think that was.
Yeah. It's an hour and 45 minutes long, but literally a full third of it is this guy talking about like the significance of the themes of coloration and like deep lore of the MCU, some of which is quite some of it's quite theoretical and out there. And I'm just like, what am I even watching right
Yeah. How does this have to do with the movie? Well, he was going off on the murals, where he finds the where Peter Quill. But anyways, this opening, I did always love I feel like it was just a really effective. You're just jumping immediately to it. You're kind of establishing the heart of this movie, of Peter Quill's character, and just you're not leaving anything. Yeah, you're letting the audience know immediately, kind of his emotional core, right? This event that is so key to him
Yeah.
is it starts right here, and it definitely it sets a serious tone for what is kind of a goofy movie. And I actually feel like this kid, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he does a really good job here. And again, getting child actors to do serious scenes is a challenge. But whoever this kid is does a great job. Now, wasn't this gal, this actress, wasn't she the one who possibly had a one night stand with Cap?
So her name is Laura Haddock, and she briefly appeared in a cameo role, in not even a cameo role, just a bit part, because cameos, like, oh, she's important, but no, it's just a bit part in the first Avenger. She's a fan who asks him to sign something, and they share a little smile with her and Captain America, and so that spawned the theory that Captain America might have had a one-night stand with her, and he had like a bastard child that is Peter Quill's grandfather. Or something like that.
Didn't James Gunn personally say no on that one?
Yeah, he said that wouldn't work. He thought it was a fun idea, but it wouldn't work. However, with the lore established in She-Hulk, saying that Captain America did, bang a couple of girls on his tour, it's brought it back up as a possibility that Peter Quill is actually Captain America.
Is that canon? Like, is that actually like a canon thing now because of that one line that now
unless
we treat
the
that as
character
fact.
of the Hulk, unless the character of the Hulk was lying, which you could take that as you will, then yeah, Captain America had a fling with one of the at least one girl during his tour.
I don't mind the idea,
Which is stupid. I hated it. It was dumb.
I mean, it wouldn't bother me, wouldn't ruin my idea of Steve Rogers if, a pretty girl got to him while he's on tour. As long as we didn't get to the idea that, Cap was just, hitting girls up in every town he went to. You know what I mean? There's a difference between, a an event here versus just a life, the way he was. Because that doesn't fit with the way he was depicted in that film.
Agreed. So we just had the scene
Yeah.
where
Sorry, we're talking
his
about
mother
Cap.
dies, where his mother dies,
Yeah.
and then he's immediately abducted.
Yeah.
In the second one, it establishes that Ego, his father, wanted to test him and all this stuff to find out if he'd inherited the celestial abilities. And so, do you think that he sent the aliens? They sent Yondu to pick him up specifically at the time of Meredith Quill's death.
I've always thought
Like
that
he was waiting for her to die.
Yeah, once
for
I
her to
saw,
be-
once I saw Volume 2 and kind of was seeing all that, I think that makes sense personally. That I mean, because it is established for sure, right? That Yondu was working for Ego for a while, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So to me, it makes perfect sense that because Ego also is confirmed that he killed her basically. So
Yeah. That was the entire crux at the end of the thing.
yeah. So no, I mean, yeah, I think if you take Volume 2 as not trying to retro fit anything to just actually tell you the truth, and yeah, I think that makes sense in the context of Volume 2.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's a slight cameo here of a dog that was actually James Gunn's dog at the time,
Yeah.
passed away in 2020.
And James Gunn
but-
really loves his dogs.
He does. There's this lore to this planet of Morag that apparently they really wanted to fit into the movie somehow, but couldn't figure out how to. Yeah, that's the dog.
Yeah.
Which is that this planet is actually a water planet. It because of a great cataclysm, it flooded entirely, kind of like Waterworld. And once every few hundred years, the water recedes enough for this temple, the temple of the Power Stone, to be revealed. So this is a rare event, which is why nobody else has found the Power Stone.
This is a cool,
I-
this is a combination, obviously, of a digital painting, but some set work.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good. Like this movie,
Yeah.
This movie has aged really well as far as its visuals. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I do love just the costuming, the texture. This whole opening is it's just famous for a reason, right?
Yeah, and I love that they revisited it in
Endgame.
Avengers Endgame. Like they're
To see
watching
this-
him do all this stuff
to
off
see
to the
this-
side.
Without the music. It's so
Yeah.
different without the music.
Looks like a moron. Now, there's a really interesting part here, okay? Because I didn't know this until I was researching the movie, but there's a moment here where he sings with a skeleton, and I thought it was just supposed to be like a skeleton of some sort of just random beast, but James Gunn specifically made it to look like a race called the Phalanx, and just right there, and a Phalanx. Because one of the really big events in the Guardians of the Galaxy comic book series that helped inspire this movie was it surrounded this race called the Phalanx that are definitely inspired by the Borg
Like the Borg came
from
first.
Star Trek. I believe so, yes.
Okay. I know that Marvel goes
But they
back
were that
obviously way,
type.
way further, but obviously a lot of Marvel was after the 80s when the Borg were created.
Yeah. It's just this is one of those movies like you had needle drops in movies forever, right? But I feel like this is the one that had these just songs everywhere in the movie.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's like 6 or 7.
the
This is
entire
almost a
surround-
musical.
Yeah, the entire soundtrack was very deliberate. I mean, James Gunn obviously, he's gone on record many, many times in public interviews about how much he loves music, and he thinks of like music like as he's writing. He literally thinks of these songs while he's writing it, like they're in mind, when he's writing his films. So they're integral for his image, his idea for the film itself, right?
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. I know that Thor Ragnarok was written the same
Oh,
way,
yeah.
and it really shows.
Now this, I cannot pronounce this guy's name. I'm sorry.
Jaimon Hansu.
Yeah, he's been great in so many things. And
Dude, he is a great actor, but he has been in so many superhero movies.
yeah,
Like so
Ninja
many
Turtle.
superhero movies.
I do love the Ninja Turtle name. You know, just again placing Peter Quill from the era he came from, the late '80s, when the Turtles
Yeah.
were a big deal. I mean, I was a kid then, and they were everywhere.
Turtle Mania.
It was the thing.
My parents
Okay,
didn't want me interested in the Ninja
I
Turtles.
I know that people have varying opinions on Chris Pratt. I
Uh-huh.
really think that he was perfectly cast for this role, though.
Oh, I love Chris Pratt.
Chris
I love
Pratt.
Chris Pratt. I think he's great. A lot of people who have drummed up so-called controversy around him are just kind of
Oh,
looking for
yeah,
fights,
you're
in my
just
opinion. I think he's great. I think he's fun. He's been in some bad movies, but I don't think he's ever been specifically bad in a movie.
no.
His his ad libs in things like uh Parks and Recreation are
Oh,
legendary. He's
it's a good
so great.
shot. Yeah,
It is. It's very comic booky.
yeah. The I also think like right here, this escape montage, they're kind of already establishing the fact that he's, for being a just a regular human, he's a little more resilient than a regular human. They're kind of already showing that a little bit.
Well, it goes all the way back into the comic books. Any comic book fan knows that, or comic book fan of Guardians of the Galaxy knows that Peter Quill is not fully human. He's special. He's a hybrid. They've already established a little bit of it with his mom talking about the whole Angel of Light thing.
Yeah,
But I really like this sequence because it shows him as being competent while also being a complete buffoon. And it's really hard to balance competence and buffoonery
yeah,
because either you're a little bit too much of a buffoon or like Captain Kirk in the reboot movies, he's a little bit too stupid and lucky in some scenes.
yeah.
Um, when you really wish that he would have been shown as a little bit more competent and a little bit more of a planner, which is what they did really well in the movie Star Trek Beyond. But he, yeah, it just I like that he's a competent buffoon and they do it well. Dude,
Forgot you were
Dorit was
here.
actually from the comics. But she actually had a major role in the Hulk comics when he was launched into space. She went on adventures with him, filmed it, and then released it as fictional movies in space and got really famous off of it.
Love the troll.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Troll Doll pops up a few times. It's
Yep,
great.
his Jansport backpack. I had different color, but that exact same backpack.
Really?
Oh yeah, everybody did. 90% of all the kids in school in the '80s had that backpack.
So, one of the things that they do in this movie that is a little bit difficult to do, they have the different skin tones, right? They have Gamora, she's green. They have Marit here, and she's pink, and they have the Kree, which are blue. They look really good. I, you know, I don't necessarily fully believe. Oh yes, just pink human is alien. Ooh, but they look good. The makeup is solid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Well,
just think that it's a
Yondu, I mean,
really
his makeup job. I mean, it's Michael Rourke. It's blue Michael Rourke, but dang, he looks good. Like just the texture they got on his face, the teeth that they got on him are amazing,
yeah.
and the job on his mohawk that later is the more comic accurate Finn is just fantastic.
Well, yeah, this version of Yondu is nothing like comic book Yondu.
Oh no, no,
Yondu was one of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. The none of the team in here are original Guardians of the Galaxy. They're all from the rebooted 2010s Guardians of the Galaxy comics, and it's just Yondu was this like warrior, honor bound guy with a bow and arrow, you know. So this is a heavy departure. Heavy departure.
You know, this whole thing, this is supposed to be, okay, so this is the kind of thing where, I mean, like watching heavy spoilers, there's so much lore kind of being unfolded here, But this is where too, I almost feel like it's a little bit wasted if the audience doesn't understand why. This is actually where I think you can get too deep into doing things for the deep for the deep fans, but you could do a little more for the regular fans and explain it tiny bit more, refined ways, because you could have made this guy more interesting. If you like, all this is like, okay, this is visually interesting. This dude was taking a nap in some black goo, and then there's like some monk dudes that are, painting him up, and I mean, all that means something that I know because I watched a YouTube video about it. But nobody in the main audience would know anything about that. What a way to die! Oof. Oh man.
All right. I mean, at least it'd be quick, right?
Smushed. But I found the YouTube video was very interesting, but I didn't know. I didn't have a clue about any of it. And so,
yeah, me neither. Actually, I didn't like. There's so much lore to what's going on here,
and you're way more of a.
And this felt like something right out of freaking Chronicles of Riddick. Okay, like Ronan the Accuser feels like he should be in Chronicles of Riddick, in my opinion. But the thing is, Ronan is just bland. His motivations are bland. His actions are bland. He's the weakest part of this movie by far, and I love Lee Pace, but it's just like,
yeah. But
meh.
aren't the Krell, as far as like their history? Kree, sorry, those are different races. I'm sorry. The Kree, aren't they somewhat linked to the Dark Elves as far as kind of they go back like almost before essentially the Big Bang
yes,
in the MCU?
They were creatures of darkness. One of the prevailing theories in some comic books have them linked in similar ways. The Kree were a super ancient civilization. They were actually responsible for the entire group known as the Inhumans. They were using humanity to breed super soldiers and give them special powers through something called a Terrigen crystal. And they cover that in the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really well. And kind of cringeworthy at times. But they're like one of the main alien races of the entire Marvel universe. Stan Lee. Being a creep, kind of like he could sometimes be in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, this was such an interesting choice of making two of your main characters. One of them's a talking tree, and the other one's a raccoon. And he's like Han Solo with anger issues. I love Rocket. He's one of my favorite characters.
Well, he's super well realized, very interesting, and I really do think that Bradley Cooper did a great job on his voice.
Yeah.
He does a really good mixture because Bradley Cooper's a funny guy. I mean, most of us know that he can do comedy, but he also can do the serious stuff really, really well.
And his serious acting in all three of these movies, and Endgame actually, is so good. He wasn't quite like just pure gimmick for this movie, but he felt gimmicky. But as the movies go on, he genuinely grew to be one of the most interesting and complex characters of the entire MCU for me. Yeah. Love him to death.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, his performance is very much a combination of Bradley Cooper doing the voice, but didn't Sean Gunn do all the mocap for him?
That is correct. Sean Gunn, James Gunn's, I almost said boyfriend, brother.
James Gunn is a very hot wife.
Yes, he does. And a hot ex-wife, too. Dude. Asshole. Yeah. But Sean Gunn did all the motion capture, and he's so good.
It's so... Gamora, man, Zooey Deschanel. Wow, that's a different.
You are having fun with names tonight, man.
I really am. I'm sorry. Please take over
Zoe
for a second.
Saldana.
How is she like? She's a great actress, but she has like low key ended up being in several of the biggest movies ever made.
Oh no, dude. Just this last week, time of recording, okay? She is officially, numerically, not resolving for inflation. She is the highest earning actor in history.
But yeah, because
Like
you got
in terms of movie totals.
well, yeah,
Not necessarily in terms of her pay, but in terms of movie totals.
yeah, well, because when
Because
you
of the Avatar series, because of Endgame, and because of these movies,
Yeah.
and to a lesser extent, the Star Trek movies.
Yep. Oh, yeah, her this all I gotta say too, the CG of Rocket on her face, the interactions happening there were just
Yeah.
fantastic. Like again, the effects work happening at this point was really good.
Uh huh.
She
And
although too, she looks like again the practical makeup job that was done on her is this whole sequence too, because I like that this sequence shows off that they're all very capable, right?
yes, well, this sequence helps with a couple things. One, it establishes each of their characters. It establishes their classes. Okay, this is this is straight up a D&D party. Okay, you have an artificer in the form of Rocket. You have a barbarian in the form of Groot. You have a rogue in the form of Gamora, and you have a bard in the form of Quill. Like, it's just, and then later you have what's his face, and he's a just pure fighter. And they do so well with the comedy and establishing who they are, while also establishing conflict between them, introducing them, and all the different stuff that they can do. It's a perfect introduction.
They all get like hits on each other too, just like they all get arrested. It just
Yeah.
okay. Can you explain to me a little bit about the Nova Corps? Because again, they're like important.
Green Lantern.
What's that?
Green Lanterns.
Really? Okay, because they're
Essentially, they don't have the same powers, but they are the cops.
okay because
they
they're
are
shown as so
the,
important in this film, and they just kind of get dispatched so just dismissively later.
Well, that's one of the things about this is that they underplay what the Nova Corps are and don't really use them much. But also in the comics, there's this whole thing where the Nova Corps get like wiped out, and there's one left, and it's the superhero Nova, and they don't use Nova in the movies. There was supposed to be a Nova TV show, but it got canceled. And yeah, it's just it's weird the way that they decided to use them. In this movie, it works. I think that it's right how they used it, but the fact that they didn't use them very much later is strange. They wipe them out off screen.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like, I mean, it's just like Thanos just off screen, right? Just in between films, destroys him to.
Yes, right before Infinity War. And apparently that was something that they really did want to show. They wanted to do stuff with it. They wanted Guardians of the Galaxy 3 to be able to tie into it, but they couldn't.
This is also a
famous
brilliant way to kind of just again like info dump on the audience, but still have some fun with it. Because I mean, if they are cops, like this makes perfect sense. You got your kind of your lineup, right? But they're also, they got the little, if you like read, you got some fun little info on all of them, and again, John C. Reilly just, he's a great choice for this role, and it's just good. I remember the trailer for this being so good. It used so much of this, right?
Yeah. This guy here, the other the other guy here, he's credited as Corman Denarian Saul, right here.
Bunch of a-holes.
He was the voice. The actor was the voice of Darth Maul in Star Wars Episode 1. He's the gun
Really?
sommelier from John Wick Chapter 2 with the Benelli.
Yeah.
Benelli M. Forza.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
he's
a dinner
around.
party.
He's been in a whole bunch of things. And he's pretty great. Like, he pops up and stuff, and when he does pop up stuff, he's pretty memorable.
I love here where he sees the guy with his Walkman, I think in a minute or so.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man. I remember after this movie, that Halloween, that on eBay, Walkmans shot up because everybody was looking for one for their Star-Lord Halloween costumes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Star-Lord is honestly a pretty easy cosplay to do.
Yeah.
My wife actually almost bought me a Ravager jacket when we were down in Disneyland last year. Um, and I wanted it. I'm like, yeah, I could pull this off. I look good.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've
Yeah.
always ever liked the whole like you got this control thing on your forearm that's like wired into you. Just I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's used in a couple things. It's odd. I
It's just
remember
it's
something
always creepy a
similar
little
in
bit to
what
me.
was it? Dread? She had the little heart monitor thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like any kind of tech that like digs into your skin. I've just always been like, I mean, it's very effective at kind of a certain vibe, but
Yeah, here you go.
yeah,
Here's,
this
here's your scene. He's like putting the Walkman on.
and this whoever plays this alien, he just does a great job of he's just got this great look. He's a big dude.
He's big, he's mean, and they got the prosthetics on him. And yeah. Again, this was another good scene of them be like walking around together and explaining things about each other without it being hard to follow. You know, he explains like Groot. His vocabulary is limited to exactly I and am and Groot in that order.
Yeah, man, Chris Pratt put in the work though here too for this
Dude,
film.
he did. One of the famous things about it is they were doing these interviews, the auditions, right? Chris Pratt comes in. He's on Parks and Rec playing this just flubby schlubby fat guy, and James Gunn said that he didn't care if Chris Pratt showed up on set 30 pounds overweight as long as he could get Chris Pratt. But Chris Pratt was just like, no, I'm putting in the work, and he slimmed down and put on so much muscle. I think that he has like the best physique of any of the like major Marvel people. Not necessarily like, oh, Captain America or Thor is better or worse in any way, but he looks really good and he looks natural in comparison
Yeah.
to the other two.
I appreciate
Despite all,
Yeah, I appreciate a physique that seems like it's possible for me to get there without,
Yeah.
needing a doctor who can write me prescriptions. Um, okay, this is a tiny thing, but I really appreciate it. So they had the whole like, he comes in, he's got his shirt off. You see Rocket, and you see the implants on his back, which is a great little
Yeah.
subtle way of telling you a little about Rocket. I appreciate
and the
that they did
pain,
not.
They look
could have
hurtful.
they could have so easily had a moment showing Gamora also changing into prison garb, and they didn't do that. Which it's just that's a little thing that most films would have done that. She is a very attractive
I
woman.
bet that they filmed one. Honestly.
might have.
I bet they filmed like a bareback scene or something like
Yeah,
that.
but I appreciate the restraint. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Here's Nathan
And
Fillion,
here's
right?
Nathan Fillion. He was even on set in like a mocap thing in stilts.
Yep, he got the
It's-
nose
oh.
job.
That's such like the movement of the tendrils as they're going up his nose. Just I have a visceral reaction to that. I hate that so much.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like
Um,
it makes you just like wince.
Yeah.
But this is
I like the
this is
idea.
definitely a way to immediately establish your position in prison, right?
Yeah. But also they're talking about, protecting Quill because to them Quill is an investment,
Yeah,
Um
I'm with them.
he's a bounty. So one of the things that they do also is that on each of the prisoners' legs is their rap sheet is the idea. So the longer their rap sheet, the longer it looks almost like military chest candy on their legs. Like
Yeah.
you'll notice that hers is about 3 times longer than Quill's, She's nasty. Done many bad things.
And
And
Drax.
there's Drax, the
Man.
final member of the team, played
This
by
was
the
this was Dave
indomitable
Bautista's
Dave
first big
Bautista.
thing, right?
Yeah, supposedly he burst into tears when he found out that he got the role and immediately hired an acting coach because he wanted to impress. And he put his whole heart into it, and God bless him for it. However, this role was actually offered to Jason Momoa after he had done Conan the Barbarian and Stargate Atlantis and Khal Drogo, right, on Game of Thrones.
I love the
And they were
the matted fur. Sorry.
right? No, it's hilarious. They were so certain that Jason Momoa would accept the role that all of the concept art of Drax the Destroyer was of Jason Momoa. but he turned it down, and a year later was announced as Aquaman.
Yeah. And this were too, I mean, I know that Dave Bautista got a little bit pigeonholed by this role, but I also just really think that he has shown to be a very good actor.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might, my personal pick, he might be my personal pick for best wrestler turned actor as far as just like, his ability as an actor.
I would agree with that to an extent. I never thought I would see the day where I was genuinely impressed by the acting skills of The Rock, but he did that movie, The Smashing Machine.
I haven't seen that one
And,
yet, to
like,
be fair.
I've only seen scenes from it. I didn't want to watch the whole thing, but Christopher Nolan said that the best performance of the year 2025 belongs to The Rock.
Yeah.
for
I
that
guess
movie.
one thing
And
I
he
would
wasn't
say,
nominated for an Oscar for it.
yeah, the one thing I would say there though is how many films
Mm-hmm.
did it take Dwayne Johnson to get there?
That's true. That's
And
true.
the for
Dave
Batista, the opening, the small scene he has, the opening of Blade Runner 2049 is
Oh, yeah,
so good
dude.
that's where I'm like, and he got there in what, 4 or 5 performances?
Yeah.
To me, is
I
a
really
little bit
liked
of a.
him.
Go ahead.
I really liked him in Spectre. That is not a very good James Bond movie overall, but I thought he was a really good like henchman villain.
So I wish they had. I think he was very good as Raban in Dune. I wish they had done more with him.
Yeah,
Like I think he was
agreed.
kind of underused, but I do think that he, for what he was written as, he did a very good job.
Yeah. And then one of the things, unfortunately, one of the things for him, he was recently in a movie with Mila Jovovich, done by Mila Jovovich's husband. What's the name of the freaking
Oh,
guy?
he's a director, right? Isn't that Paul Wes Anderson?
yeah.
Or oh no,
Paul W.S. Anderson.
W.S. Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was called In the Lost Lands. And it's so bad. It's like so horrifically bad that some people thought that he might have actually like destroyed his career being in that movie. And I hope it's not true.
Okay. Was he's also slimmed down quite a bit now, right?
Yeah, due to health issues. Same thing with The Rock, in fact.
Yeah.
You can't keep up that level of physique for
It's-
that
well,
long, you know?
Well, also too, if you're asking your body to burn that many calories every single day, which is what it takes, I mean, you're literally asking your body to expend way more energy than it's usually supposed to on a daily
Energy,
basis. Yeah. But anyways, he was just, again, I think that Drax, his use, like the use of him and his humor, is sometimes more effective, sometimes less effective throughout this trilogy. But when I genuinely like him very much. I think Batista does a good job. But this whole man too, this prison, I'm just again the set design, just all it feels like a lived in real place. Like they managed to make this feel comic booky and Marvel while still getting that kind of Star Wars vibe. Like this is a place people have been in for a long time.
I genuinely think that this is one of the only original movies. I mean, not original, but like something we've never seen that comes even slightly close to what Star Wars was. It's not the event that Star Wars was, but the feel and the competence and the fun of Star Wars in a sci-fi universe. Like this deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as other space-based epics.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if you're going to jump off Earth in a major way from, I mean, we'd have Thor obviously before this, but this was the movie that made you think that Marvel can get off Earth and be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that there is the same underling that appeared in the Avengers who gave Loki the staff, played by Alexis Denisov, who I know from Angel and Buffy and all that stuff, as well as How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
And there he goes.
Yep,
Because they
he's-
didn't want to have to pay him anymore.
I doubt it was a pay issue. I think they just, I think how do you keep writing him into everything without having just be the guy yelling?
That's true. Here's the first appearance of Thanos, played by Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
Slightly slimmer chest than
Yeah,
he
he's-
later shows in the movie.
Yeah, he's not quite
In
as
Infinity
big.
War.
And even his head isn't quite as big. I feel like they went with a little more Just his because his
Yeah.
face is not as thick either. I
Yeah.
can't tell if maybe it's just his helmet is making me think that, but I mean he looks good, and he also isn't he a slightly different shade of purple, or is it just like the lighting in this scene?
Yeah, it's a slightly different shade. They make him a little bit more grimace colored. He's a little bit bluer here, but he gets a little bit more purple
Yeah,
in Infinity War.
man, is it Karen Gillian? Is that her name? That plays
Karen,
Nova.
yeah, I think it's Gillian or Jillian.
Gillian.
It's one of those.
She is so much fun in real life. Like, have you ever seen interviews with her? She
Oh yeah, she's hilarious.
hilarious.
Well, I watched Doctor Who back in the day when she was his companion, a incredibly attractive woman.
Her accent is
but
also
she's
amazing.
great.
Her Scottish accent.
Right? And oh, here we begin Rocket's weird obsession with people's limbs, which just carries all the way over to the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. And it's great.
I do. I mean, I love this too. This is such a fun way of kind of subverting like a normal like people are expecting, of just like all right, just kind of laying out the plan, and just like you expect it. All right, so maybe we start cutting to the plan happening while he explains it. Like that's been done in films,
Yeah.
but just no. You have Groot back here. It's like,
He's like, hey, let me just take this thing out.
oh man, it just
Just
nailing
knocks
the
off
random
his head.
inmate.
Yeah.
so good.
So apparently Amanda Seyfried was offered a role in this movie. And they don't say who it was that she was. I do not imagine that they would have offered Amanda Seyfried the role of Gamora. I think
No.
they wanted Zoe Saldana since Avatar. I think that they probably offered her Karen Gillian's character,
I
of,
could see that.
Nebula. But yeah, because somebody asked if she wanted to be in one of the movies, and she was just like, I think that I would like to, but I actually turned down a major role in Guardians of the Galaxy, and they haven't called me back since.
I love
Yeah.
that the prison guard is so kind of like, "Ugh, this is annoying. This happens all the time. Just okay. Is the Groot we've gotten after this film an actual different character?
Supposedly,
Technically.
yes. It's supposed to be almost like his son.
Okay, I was wondering
Which
about
is
that.
one of the reasons why they changed his physique, so that in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you see that he's no longer tall and thin, but he's a lot broader across the
stockier,
chest
yeah.
and beefier. But yeah, this duo of Rocket on his shoulder is so good. Like, I love it.
It's like an iconic
it's
image,
such
right?
a great image.
Of just
Yeah.
him with Rocket, usually with a big gun, right?
Yeah, and being into 3D printing, I have access to a lot of models, and there's this one group that models a lot of Marvel stuff, and their Rocket and Groot are a pair, and you can get and you can print it so that it's both of them one on top of the other, and it looks really good. Creepy little beast. All the different nicknames for Rocket throughout the movies also is great.
There's a trailer shot.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember this right here was the
A tiny bit of
the
like
trailer
a
shot.
first-person shooter there for a second.
Yeah, it reminded me of Doom.
Yeah.
The 2005 Doom.
You need my what?
Okay, funny thing about this, all right? James Gunn said that there was a convention, right? And this one person was like, hey, I'm a big fan of the show Farscape. Was that an inspiration for Guardians of the Galaxy at all? And he was just like, everybody always asks me, was this an inspiration? Was that an inspiration? Because there's just so many things out there. This is the first case where I can sit there and say definitely. Like, James Gunn loved Farscape. And a lot of this movie was inspired by that. Which is funny because I actually really don't like Farscape.
Really? Okay. I don't have strong.
Yeah,
I don't have strong opinions about it. For some reason, I assumed that you would like that show.
I don't like the main actors. I find them annoying.
I know you don't like Claudia Black, but I thought Ben Browder you were kind of neutral on.
A little bit less than neutral, I guess. He always seems like I know that he came first, but he always seems like a Walmart brand Nathan Drake to me. There's always something kind of dumb about his characters, even though he's supposed to be like a genius. And I don't know. I just don't really like the way that he acts. That doesn't mean he's a bad actor. It means that I don't care for the way that he acts.
Yeah, that's fun. We can talk about. I just finished SG1, so it's also in my mind there. But we should get back to this. This whole action scene is good too. Okay, one of my biggest pet peeves in any action scene is an action scene where you can't follow what's happening, where you kind of just like events just happen, right? There's you end up where the writer wants you to get, and you don't really know how you got there. And this whole action scene was great because even though it was chaotic and funny and had, a bunch of beats, you could follow what was happening. And I really appreciate a competent director who can write an action scene that flows, and you understand how the characters got from point A to point B through the action.
Yes.
I love this part too of like, I was just kidding about the leg.
Yeah. Okay, that would be funny. I mean, what other things? Because it's like there's Bucky's arm, and then there's the eyeball in Infinity War, and I thought there was something in Endgame. I don't know. I like his stuff.
Yeah.
Where just like he's obsessed with taking people's limbs and stuff.
Oh yeah, especially if it's an artificial one. You never call me a Thosaurus. Oh man, this is also too. I think
Nothing goes over my head.
when you have the fresh first take on anything, it's always better, right? I think that's where, and I actually like Volume 2 quite a bit. I like it. I think above average compared to a lot of people.
Yeah,
But
I think it.
But it does go overboard on his humor. But this movie, because it's just fresh and fun, and it's just done so he just so commits to it so well that I really find it endearing in this movie. The fact that he turns this into a ship, it's just great.
Yeah. This whole thing with like them firing one at a time was a little convenient,
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I get it, but I'm also like, fine.
I'll fire at Mike. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to give them like a chance to surrender before he.
Yeah. Turning off the gravity. It's such a great idea.
It is like, why would they all immediately drop their launchers though? Just curious.
I don't know. Convenience? Because it doesn't work very well with the strings.
I guess so. I mean, if you fired it in 0G, that would be bad.
Right? You just go the other direction.
Yeah, but to say Newton, you're about to get a real education in Newton's law.
Yeah, I like the idea of there being an escape pod for the guards. Like, I understand why they would have that detach. You can
it
write
makes
that
sense.
very easily into a novelization. Though this whole thing with like the drones picking it up and he reprograms them, and they show off Rocket's technical skills so well.
Yeah, and they're doing it through. They're using it to move the story along, and they're doing it in a way that seems natural. Like he's not doing stuff just to, just to be. I mean, some of his stuff obviously is just to be silly, but they really strike a balance of show don't tell with him, which I like a lot. I love that when movies do that well.
Yeah, every bit of how he operates. Like, even the stuff that doesn't necessarily go with the plot, it helps to build his character.
Yeah.
Instead of just being, we're obviously doing goofy humor stuff. The original design of Star-Lord, which they later used in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the Christmas special, was, like, gold and blue. And that's what he wore in the original comics, was a gold and blue getup, and so the closest they were able to do for this costume was making his ship gold and blue.
Yeah, it's all okay. Can we talk about the ship for a minute too? Because I think it is a fantastic design. I really like
it's really cool. Are you a fan of Alyssa Milano?
I don't know her well enough, honestly. I know who she is, but I
don't.
Yeah, I don't have enough. I don't know enough to have an opinion. To be fair.
Yeah.
My
Alyssa. Alyssa.
I do feel like the a little bit of the Zat effect
guess?
on his guns, which was fun. I also just
they're called his elemental guns, but they're not really used elementally in this. In the really excellent a Guardians of the Galaxy video game. He's he uses them properly. They have different elemental features, and in the comics, fire, ice, electricity, stuff like that. But they just kind of make them bland blasters, even if they do look really cool.
Smacks him with the Power Stone.
Right? He doesn't know what it is.
Yeah. I love the idea of the on his ship, just a big canopy kind of over the, where everybody in the cockpit can just see everything so well. It reminds me a little bit of sorry, I'm thinking of the practicality of being in space with part of your like skin exposed like that. That would not work. But just the I think of like modern fighters where it's all about the visibility. If you're flying, to have like a really good, like the F-22 has just a single like piece of glass where the pilot has just fantastic visibility, a little bit of that inspiration, and just it looks cool, but it's also functional because if you were flying that ship in combat, you would have a really good visual field as well as obviously your sensors and stuff. So it's like a practical element mixed with just a very cool looking design. Okay,
Brian, if you ever get the chance to sorry, but
I was just about to say this line coming up. My parents were so mad at this line because they're like, kids see this movie. If they ever look up what that means, when he references the Jackson Pollock.
Jackson Pollock.
And I mean, just the ew factor on that is like, don't ever take a black light to a hotel room type of ew, right?
Yeah, I totally get that.
When my son asked me about that, what that joke meant, I was just like, I don't want to tell you. I really don't.
It's like, have you ever seen CSI?
Yeah.
That's the closest you're getting.
It's just bodily fluids everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's better than blood everywhere.
Right. But yeah, I do really like the design of the Milano and the subsequent ship, though I can't remember what he named that one.
I don't know off the top of my head right now. Man,
it was named after another 80s hot, like sexy icon.
Yeah. Drax is man, the makeup job on him is also just fantastic. His tattoos, I love that they're raised. Again, the one thing about the makeup job on almost every main character in this, and even secondary characters, is it's not just makeup, right? There's there's texture, there's layers, they're raised up and have it's not just paint, right? It really gives it a really cool dynamic quality, especially visually. Yeah, that. You got issues, Quill. Isn't this ship, the design I saw in that video is kind of based on like a mausoleum, essentially?
The interior was based on a mausoleum. The exterior has kind of a...
like a DNA, right?
Yeah, double helix.
Helix, yeah.
Helictical, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I thought it was the double helix, is I think what it's...
Yeah, it's a double helix. But this is one of those things that's like kind of sad. Like when you're really thinking about it, it's like, like all of these people, because we saw some of them earlier and they were doing kind of some cool stuff. Like, oh, there's the one who's talking to her family and all that, and you know that they're all dead now. It's like, that's a bit of a bummer.
I love I can't tell if you're being serious or not. I love the idea too of Yondu just having like, his this is like all of his little figures on his ship.
Yeah,
it's like the
this actor, the broker here.
Oh yeah.
He was in The Fifth Element. He's the scientist that helps reconstitute Lily.
Yeah.
They're not done yet.
He was great.
Yeah. He has a weird face, but he makes it work for him,
Yeah.
And here we get the first showing of the arrow's abilities.
Okay. So, do you feel like the Collector ended up being underused a little bit, ultimately? That is a Dark Elf right there, right?
Little bit.
Sorry.
A little bit.
I just got distracted.
I wanted him to pop up a little bit more. But at the same time, they did end up using him in the streaming show What If in a really good episode. Well, I say really good, but because it's not actually as great as I wanted it to be. But Benicio del Toro returned for the role, as did Josh Brolin and Djimon Hounsou, in which T'Challa was actually abducted instead of Peter Quill
I remember
by
okay.
accident.
I do remember that episode now.
And it was a good episode, but at the same time, it was also they made T'Challa a little bit too much of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like a Mary Sue. And but it was also the final acting role of Chadwick Boseman, and it was a hell of a thing.
That was because that was in the first season of What If, right?
Yeah, but they made they made the Collector a genuine villain in a really interesting way, and I liked that. Nowhere. I love Nowhere. It's such an interesting and cool.
Oh yeah, I mean this is
thing.
This is one of those, and there's so many good shots. I do appreciate. I mean, this movie is still a little bit faster paced. It's not quite as slow going as like a Denis Villeneuve film, but they take the time to show the locations a little bit. Like this when they're flying in here, they they don't just like get a 2-second shot of it and then immediately we're like on a street somewhere with our characters again. Like they give it at least good 15-20 seconds there of panning around to kind of give you an idea.
Showing some of the people, and they're having this conversation as they're walking through it, and it's not just focused on them, but you actually get to see a little bit of a day in the life of somebody who lives on Nowhere. It feels like a living, breathing place that would actually exist, because they're harvesting stuff, right? And it's a market, and people are trading things, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's the way that I really want my sci-fi to work, because so much of it glosses over what life would actually look like in that society.
Yeah. Now these are the same creatures that he was using as microphones, right? In the dancing opening credits.
Yes. One of the theories that's been around online a lot is that they based the look of the creatures in the movie The Eternals, called the Deviants, on these, and these little creatures are actually supposed to be juvenile deviants that are kept under control and not allowed to grow out of hand.
Yeah, because that's obviously the Eternals is a ways off on our list, but there should be a lot of teams of Eternals out there in the galaxy doing their thing, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah,
now.
But they're
funny
not.
Thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's keep talking about this. Sorry, I was about to go on a sidetrack, and we shouldn't.
Right. So there's this scene apparently was not sitting right with James Gunn. For those of you not watching, this is the balcony scene with Gamora and Peter. That it's their first kind of romantic scene, I guess, and James Gunn didn't like it, how it was written, and was having a lot of problems with it. It was too slow, it was very wordy, and apparently he rewrote it on the day to make it faster, and it was almost like an on-the-set ad-lib, and it works really good.
I think if you cut a scene like this, it'd be a real loss, because you need to at least have some establishment as to why these characters could connect at all and have any kind of romantic relationship. I think I don't like, as much as I like movies that are fun and fast paced, I do want movies to occasionally catch their breath and let, characters have interactions that are not just jokes. And so I think that you need a scene like this. But the way this is done, I mean, I have no idea what the original looked like. But I think this works out well. That it's still within character. It doesn't change the tone of the movie all of a sudden. But I like it. I think this movie would definitely be at a loss if you didn't have this in it.
Yeah. And establishing the running joke of Peter Quill's obsession with Footloose.
Yeah.
And
he does give her reverse stereo, by the way, which is a little annoying to me.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, he puts them on the wrong ears.
Oh, I didn't notice. But the whole thing about Kevin Bacon and Footloose was Chris Pratt's idea.
Oh, really?
He asked James Gunn if he could ad-lib it into that, and that ended up evolving into Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special where they go to Earth and kidnap Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Which and Kevin Bacon in real life is a lot of fun too. Just I can imagine him being like, "Oh yeah, this would be fun. Let's do it."
Ah, yes, pelvic sorcery. That is one of my favorite lines in the MCU.
Oh yeah, Drax and
Yeah.
and
And here we have just this sudden pivot to something a lot more serious with Rocket here.
Yeah.
It's really
that is
that is also true.
Okay, so
Rocket
the
is such a
line that is
no-nonsense
also true has been in
Mm-hmm.
my family since this movie came out as like one of our go-to lines. We're like, that is also true.
Right?
But
That
this is
one thing there, just
Yeah.
the line I didn't ask to get made, and kind of the revealing the glimpse of this character's backstory. It's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is
Like, where's
this is
Kurt?
where I think that Rocket, I mean, the speed and just ease that it just pivoted from this action comedy to something very serious, and then all of a sudden it pivots right back, and it does it like just perfectly.
And it also shows this gives Quill a real role. Because the fact is, his character is mostly disposable in comparison to these other guys
Oh, yeah.
at this moment. And it really shows him, like, as the reason that they're hanging out, the reason that they're working together is because he knows how to get them to cooperate.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Like, he's the heart.
yeah, it is a real thing too, where the leader of a group is quite often not the best at any particular thing in the group, but there's a quality to be kind of the glue of a group that can be unique in and of itself, and that is an important quality also.
That's one of those things I think very much of.
There's so many Easter
specifically
eggs in
with
this. Sorry,
10 years old now.
I'm getting
Oh, so
distracted by
many
all the
Easter
Easter eggs in this scene.
One of the things about the movie The Suicide Squad, which took a lot of inspiration from this movie, came out 10 years ago, is that they had a character that was supposed to be that leader. It was Harley Quinn. She's this PhD in psychology while also being very dangerous. She was going to be the purpose of her was that she created teams. She created unity in disparate groups through either just her personality and charm, but also through her own manipulation of others. And they essentially deleted or wrote out all of that, and she was just the sexy girl with a bat. And it was such a loss thematically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And it's I've always liked those characters. I actually have thought that role, when it's done well, is just generally one that I find really interesting. Just somebody who's able to take, into even here just okay. Was that a mistake that they just kept because it was funny,
Supposedly.
or did
I don't know how true it is, but supposedly it was an accident and they kept it in.
because I could see Chris Pratt also just improving that.
Yeah.
Oh, Ronan. Yeah, it's not Ronan.
Drax.
Ronan is a
Like-
different character. Man, I'm really not
Ronan
having a
is a
good night
different
for that.
movie.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's funny though. Actually, I know several kids named Ronan now.
Parents named
It's-
their
it's
kids
becoming
after
like an-
Ronan.
Yeah. One of my best friends named their kid Ronan after the character of Ronan Dex from Jason Momoa's character in Stargate Atlantis. And you'd actually really like my friend. He's great.
Okay.
And then another friend of mine named his kid Ronan because he's a weeb and likes Japanese stuff. And Ronin means warrior without a master.
Yeah, that's a. All right.
But here we have the exposition scene.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the most important scenes for setting up the MCU. I mean, it's probably in the top 3 to 5 most important scenes for just like the greater universe setup, right?
Here we have the context as to why they're able to use the stone together at the end, showing that little cult. Beautiful beyond compare. That's something that's hung around my family, is us quoting that at each other.
Okay. Now, still, though, the whole group thing, if Peter Quill had not been part Celestial, would they have been able to do that, though?
Probably not.
About to say, because, like...
They even specified that at the end.
Yeah. He's still pretty.
Yeah.
What a way to commit suicide.
This was a little bit out of nowhere, but it was interesting. I didn't mind it. And it also showed the danger of the stone to an individual.
Yeah, I feel like this was one of those things where it's I guess you are saying a little bit about the Collector through this, but I feel like this is more of just a plot device of a moment of just like, all right, we've just got to let the audience know the potential danger here.
Like, this is not going to go well for any single individual who decides to try and wield this thing.
And again, you get a trailer shot.
We glossed over it, or we talked over it, I should say. But they do also have an image of a Celestial that played, that used the Power Stone to destroy, like, an entire civilization. That's the first glimpse of a Celestial that we get, which later becomes very important in Volume 2 and The Eternals.
Yep. Well, I mean, and Nowhere this is the head of a Celestial we're inside of, right?
Correct.
Or, yeah, we're still in Nowhere. Yeah, what am I talking about? For some reason, I'm like, we did leave Nowhere already? No, we're still in Nowhere because we got the whole escape sequence.
Which also inspired
that in
one
your
of,
purse. Sorry,
it's a knapsack. But the whole thing of Nowhere also inspired a location in one of my favorite video games, Baldur's Gate 3, in which you can go into the astral plane, and they've built a prison out of the skull of a dead god. It's cool shit.
I think there's just I've always liked anything like that gives a location kind of age, because I mean it's a real thing, right? That I mean, you know, we've built on top of old ruins, and you have just like in parts of the world where history goes back way further than it does here in North America as far as recorded culture and history.
Yeah, because you do still have the mound builders. People discount the mound builders.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like that's a real part of history, and when you put that in fictional worlds, it just adds some realism, some real flavor and real, you know, texture, because that is something that, you know. So here you go, you got the Ravengers, you got it's just Ronan here, and you got a lot going on all of a sudden here.
Yeah,
you killed my wife.
I like the setup showing like Drax being a dipshit, but it fits within his character.
Wait here, I'll be back.
Oh, these mining drones. I like the context of the mining drones as to why they can just get beaten around so much, because they're built to be tough even if they don't have any offense. Yeah, like it adds just that little complication, but also plot armor in the form of like literal armor.
No. Okay.
But a scene like this, I wish that it was a little bit more of an action sequence to give us a more of an understanding of just how powerful Ronan is. I wish that they'd been able to deliver a little bit more of like a cool action sequence instead of just like a couple of punches.
Yeah. I always thought they struggled with Drax as far as just, okay, he's really dangerous and powerful, but he also doesn't really have any great moments to shine as being just an incredibly dangerous fighter, I feel like. Unless he's fighting really basic level enemies.
Yeah, and Dave Bautista himself expressed some frustration over that, especially since his character wanted to, like, in the comics and then a little bit later in the movies, he wanted to, his whole mission was to kill Thanos, right? And he never got the chance in the movies to take on Thanos directly. Yeah. And he was really disappointed by that. I feel for him.
Well, you have it ends up creating a situation where I feel like Drax is much more known for his humor, which is very good, and way less known for the fact that you got somebody who can do the physical stuff. Yeah, I wish he had gotten more of a balance of both like amazing action scenes, but also the humor.
Yeah, I agree. Because they have some really good character moments with him, especially in the second and third one. But I also felt that his fate in the third movie was kind of the least sensible with his character's growth, I guess.
Yeah,
With him becoming kind of like a surrogate dad to a bunch of characters, which, he had lost a daughter, so him as a dad was like an important thing. I get that. But I felt like it could have been done a little bit better.
okay. I do love the just the mining drones piloting the other ships.
Mm-hmm.
Just the idea that oh man,
Yeah.
I don't recall killing your family.
It reminds me of the Street Fighter movie. That famous line? The day M. Bison came to your village and killed your parents was the single most important and defining moment of your entire life. For me, it was a Tuesday.
Yeah, there is something to that.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is I mean, okay. As time goes on, right? This is this is just one of the inherent problems with anything creative, whether it's music, movies, artwork, whatever. The more time goes on, the more things have been done, the harder it becomes exponentially harder to be creative and original and to be original. But this is a way to do an action scene that I thought was just creative and interesting because you're like, all right, how do you have a bunch of ships flying around shooting each other and make it not just another generic? And I thought they did a good job. I mean, not that this is like some standout, you're never gonna forget it because it's so amazing, but it is genuinely.
Frankly, I've forgotten that.
But it is still like I'm watching this and going like, yeah, this is the mining drones are really interesting. The look is really interesting. They do some creative stuff. I don't know, it's solid. It's not like, again, like, oh my gosh, like you got to go watch the YouTube clip of it right now. But they do a good job of not making it just another generic, objects flying around shooting lasers at each other.
Yeah, and they add the proper emotional stakes. You have the whole thing. You understand the hurt that Nebula is feeling that makes her want to lash out at her sister. You understand Drax's whole thing. We just saw why the Power Stone was so dangerous, so you understand, ooh, it's a real bad thing that the bad guys got it. Like, it's not just a mysterious orb, and we find out at the end what it is. It's like, nope, it's the third act now, and it's time to address how dangerous it is.
This whole the kind of crystallization of this is definitely something that they revisit a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I do like this though, the idea that Peter Quill is, he's willing to take this, this option to save her life.
Yeah. Because, like, it doesn't necessarily... It shows his character's willingness, right? To die for his people. And I think that's important to show his selflessness, because he's so selfish about so many things that, given that it's, like, when it matters most, he's there,
And I think they do a good job here of not making it where it's like, he's already completely in love with her, but where he does care about her already, which is, it's believable. Because,
yeah.
Although the fact that he's still like this cognizant this long into being in deep space is a little unrealistic.
Unless he's a space god.
That's true. Sorry, you're right. I keep forgetting. He's half god.
Yeah, and then when that half is removed in the second one, then you get another scene of him in space in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and the reaction is much worse and much grosser.
Which is appropriate.
Yes. And
that did really...
one of the things also that goes understated in this movie is Tyler Bateman's score. He does such a good job, especially at the end.
Yeah.
They call it I can't remember the name of the piece, but it's essentially the final hand holding scene.
Yeah. Well,
So good.
It's one of the things where okay, we were talking about needle drops in movies and movies that really use their soundtracks. The Matrix in '99, I think, was one of the earlier examples of just like not just one or two songs, but like multiple, just massive, moments in that film that were just, needle drop moments. And people who, everybody wanted the Matrix soundtrack, right? But people forgot, oh, you also, there's a score along with the soundtrack. And this is one of those movies where everybody thinks about the soundtrack, which is, all of the songs in this movie. And people forget that there's also a score, which is, like you said, very good. But people
I can't remember the needle drops in the Matrix for some reason. Which songs were in the Matrix?
I mean, the big one, the end with Rage Against the Machine. There's Du Hast when that kicks in. There's
Du Hast. Okay.
There's
I need to rewatch that.
In the club scene where Trinity and Neo first meet, that was a Prodigy song that was playing there. It was a really big deal at the time. There's several.
I like this scene.
Anyways, sorry, getting distracted on that.
No, I get you. I really like this scene of Drax kind of realizing his mistake and everything, and having him being like, "I was a fool" and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But also, what's his face being just a bitch, and I love it.
Everybody's got dead people. I mean, in some ways, Rocket is like one of the most just pragmatic, like just stated. Yeah, says it like it's funny. As much as Drax is very without any he doesn't understand sarcasm or he's just or he doesn't understand like metaphors. Rocket is so straightforward. He's so just like says it the way it is, even more so than Drax in some ways, right?
Yeah. Well, Drax is based around like a fundamental misunderstanding of like social cues and
just
interactions. Language. Like, Drax. Okay, let me phrase it this way. Drax is a little bit more almost autistic in his presentation.
Yeah.
Almost like he has a form of autism. And I've even read several things about people with autism who really latched on to Drax because of his attitude like that. However, the Rocket's just an asshole. Like, that's kind of the main difference, I think.
Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about, because this was... I mean, this was brought up in Avengers, although at the time the writers didn't necessarily know it. But a lot of people have asked me about, or not asked me, but talked about. I definitely talked with the kids. This movie like shows Thanos repeatedly, basically leaves Infinity Stones in the care of other people that he shouldn't have. First with Loki, and now with Ronan.
I think that they had a little bit more of a plan. I think there was going to be something like that, but he does that. He just like he likes operating through people instead of doing things himself.
Which is the movie? Is it Dark World, or what's the movie with the after credit scene where he's like, "Fine, I'll do it myself"? Which one is that?
Weirdly, because it doesn't fit at all. It's Age of Ultron.
Okay, because I feel like this would have been the movie for that scene, right?
Agreed, yes.
Because this is the movie where he's like, all right, I'm done using other people, right? This is not working.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just... Okay. I mean, I know we already said it briefly. Michael Rourke is amazing. I think that Rooker, sorry. Michael Rooker. He's a great actor. He's a lot of fun in most of his projects. But I think he was so good in this role.
Yeah.
He has so much he's just, I don't know, he's got just a fun texture to him, just as an actor and as this character.
Mm-hmm. And like, I was so glad when they gave him a redemption arc in the second one. I thought that he was just a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
And
Have you ever watched any interviews with him?
not particularly.
Okay, I watched one with him on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, Inside of You, and
Oh,
he
yeah,
was
yeah.
he was talking about he was talking about these movies and his relationship with James Gunn in general, because he's another one of James Gunn's close friends, and just so many great things he was talking about, just how much fun he had, and just how much he really trusted James Gunn's vision for this, and just their working relationship. It really was and just the stories he had, it was great. It was a lot of fun to see him as a regular guy just talking.
What totally baffled me, okay? Because I know that I should have been able to tell by the voice, I'm aware, when I realized that this was the same actor from Tombstone who plays McMasters.
Yep.
I was blown away. I was like, "What? Greasy Pirate Man it was like Dapper Cowboy McMasters?"
Yep.
And then on the other side of it, learning that Stephen Lang was
Yeah.
I forget the character's name all of a sudden. Yeah, Mr. Loud Dog
Yeah.
in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Totally crazy.
Man, talk about a movie with a stacked cast. I mean, Tombstone.
Right? Oh my God.
It's like every actor in that movie went on to like be somebody and like just have memorable roles later. But this is great. It's like this
Shooting at him with a pea shooter.
Oh yeah. Attention, idiots.
Attention, idiots. And but at the same time, there's also the Hadron Enforcer.
Hell? Just like
Yeah,
oh.
because once you see it later and the damage that it does to Ronan, you realize this is a legitimate threat. Like, he would have blown a hole in this ship. But yeah, right there, the guy he's leaning on is the guy who went on to become Galactus in First Steps.
Yeah. This is such a great scene. Just the five of them.
Yeah,
It's like talking.
this is like the council scene, the unifying scene. It's needed in every ensemble movie, you know.
Yeah. Man, Rocket. I mean, Groot's good too, but to me, like Rocket's man, he's up there with Caesar and Gollum as one of like the best like full, like not just a head, just full creature, fully CG like characters ever in a movie. Like he's probably like top 3 or 5 for me.
Yeah. And
Man.
funny enough, this came out in 2014, the same time as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which also featured a fully CGI character covered in fur by the name of Rocket.
Man, they get the fur. I mean, this is where like CG has come so far because the fur looks so good, and the way the fur interacts with the environment is so good. I mean, even his own costume, like just around like his shoulder, like his neck, as he moves around, and like I mean, earlier in the prison when he wakes up and it's matted and just all that, and just like the way, just the natural. The way it kind of waves and moves and interacts with his mouth, you believe there's muscles underneath his skin, just all that. Again, I mean, Caesar. I think Caesar might technically be a slightly higher like achievement, but Rocket's just amazing also.
Well, Rocket is more expressive. Like, the expressiveness done in Caesar is incredible. But Rocket he's so much more animated. He's so much more explosive, you could even say.
Yeah.
And it's just, he's great. I love him. And
Losers.
part of it is also just like the voice, right? Because
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper was huge at this time. He had just come off of Silver Linings Playbook. He's nominated for an Oscar. He was poised to be one of the next great movie stars, and they're just like, next movie, I'm voicing a raccoon.
Yeah. Well, the Hangover trilogy was huge when they were coming out. I mean, that was
Yeah,
you kind of forget about them now, but like they were a big deal when they were current. His tail is also, I think, it's not shown as often, but his tail is amazing too. It just looks so good.
Well, I think that another thing that really sets him apart from other similar characters is that he's he's while anthropomorphized, he moves like an animal really well.
Yeah.
Caesar, of course, did that quite good also, but he hops around and he climbs, and it's very believable without looking like too goofy, I guess. Because
yeah.
one of the things about animating a character like that is that it'll look too fake and rubbery, and he looks like a rigid character who does things naturally, you know?
Yeah. Well, and because when he does
It's
walk
weird.
around like a human, it doesn't look weird. But then he also, is also a raccoon running, like you said, climbing and hot scurrying. Scurrying is the best word. I feel like it
Yes,
also feels
scurrying
very
is an
natural.
appropriate word.
Yeah.
So
Oh, the
I was actually going
standing.
to talk all about these comic book characters and stuff like that, and when they joined the team, and when they first showed up, and their differences from the comics and stuff. Like, Drax was originally in the comics. He was a weapon built to kill Thanos. It was his entire mission. Rocket and Groot, very similar to their comic book counterparts. Quill was a little bit more of a um, debonair leader, almost like a space cop, a little bit less of a rogue and a ruffian and a oversexed douchebag. Gamora's very similar. In the comics around this time, she actually had a romance with Iron Man that was weird.
That's right. I remember reading about that.
It implied that sex with her was so intense that it broke Iron Man for a little bit.
Okay.
It was
Bunch
really
of-
weird.
Oh man. I mean,
Yeah.
there is nothing like a good gear up / planning scene. I mean, it's a classic scene to do, but you know what? I love
Yeah.
it.
No, it is because you have the music in the background, you have the gearing up, you have the dialogue also, and to have something like Cherry Bomb, it's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean.
And
Gunn.
also, it specifies that they're Sakarian, okay? And that they're like paper people. But Sakaar is the planet that they visit in Thor Ragnarok. It's the planet where the Grandmaster's set up. And he apparently enslaved and rents out the natives of that planet.
Sorry. Gamora.
No, what? The little zip up? You like that?
I do. I gotta admit. So okay, what do you think of the uniforms in this?
Oh, I think they're great.
Just the red.
Yeah. I really like the look of it because it's not over the top. It is unifying. It makes sense that they would be going with that color because it's Ravager's colors. And it looks good with all of their various colorations, the skin tones and everything. Now, Zoe Saldana is not an unattractive woman, but I have never looked at her and gone, "Oh my god, she's beautiful. She's on my hall pass or something," you know?
Oh.
She's never been this big charismatic lead for me. I've never had any problem with her, but if I saw movies led by Zoe Saldana, I'd just be like, "Okay." And I actually believe that she was miscast as Uhura in the Star Trek movies.
I actually do kind of agree with that. No, yeah. Anyways,
I think there were better options.
well,
Not that she did a bad job, but I don't think she was quite right for it.
Yeah. It does make sense that Quill's ship, that there's several of that design, since this is where he came from.
Yeah. I do like the Nova uniforms as well. They're very reminiscent of the comics. They've got the symbol, but there's also something fairly practical about the way that they're designed.
Well, they look like you could actually wear
not
them.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I hate sci-fi costumes that look like no humanoid would actually wear this. Willingly.
Oh, like in the Dune that we just watched with the Sardaukar.
Yeah. These actually look like, okay, one, it seems like, okay, I could see that being one, a little bit of armor, but also I'm sure there's some kind of, some kind of tech in there probably that helps too.
Energy shields or
something. But, they could still move. You could imagine moving in that. And actually, well, not just moving, but moving quickly and fighting potentially.
Yeah. And I like the look of the helmets. Very comic accurate. This is such a creepy ship. I love
Yeah.
it.
It looks very kind of eagle-esque right there, just when it was rotating out and kind of descending, and like the fire,
Yeah.
from the friction on the wings.
Yeah, they really like bird-shaped ships.
Yeah.
In this series. And
And here we got our big space battle again.
the beginning of it at least.
Yeah.
Because I later they do they have like the whole net thing, right? And
Yeah.
it's a cool look. It also it's a sci-fi concept that I can see working that you don't see in a lot of places. It's not the type of thing that you've ever seen in Star Wars or Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica, which are kind of
Well, the Tholian
and
web.
Stargate, but
They did the Tholian web thing in the original series.
Oh, the Tholian. You're right. That is kind of Tholian web-ish.
Like, actually,
didn't even
I
think of
feel
it that
like
way.
I feel like the space net, that was one of the first major instances of it, right?
Yeah. But anyway, I just appreciate that there's some actual strategy to their deployment.
Yeah, they're not just
Um,
randomly showing, well, even there,
Yeah,
the
we're just
idea
going
that,
to attack.
yeah, like those big, shots that were fired at the beginning were more just for cover, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
to distract so that way they could get the other little ships around the side so that because Gamora knows where there's a weak spot, right? So they're going to blast open a weak spot so that way they could get a ship to fly in. That makes sense and it's a good plan.
Yeah.
Um and I don't know, I like that a lot. I like it when it's not just mindless space battle because that happens a lot. I was thinking of Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
The end of it has
Oh.
actually some really cool scenes, but it is kind of a mindless space battle that eventually devolves down to, oh, we need to take out that antenna. Which I'm like, okay, that's fine, but there was so much more that they could have done with it. I wanted to see a battle in Star Wars that was an actual like strategic deployment of ships because that's something that they did in the Star Wars books a lot that just never got fulfilled.
Yeah. I do think that Return of the Jedi, the Battle of Endor, is the closest that they got to that, as far as,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little bit
Well, that's what
desperate.
they modeled all the subsequent ones in the books off of.
Yeah, yeah. But just the idea of, there was a plan going into it, and as they were adapting, to the changing situation, it made sense. But, because, I mean, the Battle of Yavin obviously had, there was a strategy there, but it was a very desperate, quickly formed strategy. This
Yeah.
was, but yeah, this one, I like, the idea of kind of the Nova showing up and being like, all right, we're gonna help. The idea
Yeah.
of like, all right, let's,
They got my dick message. Such a.
oh,
It's awful. I love it.
yeah. I also,
Yeah.
I mean, we briefly saw. I mean, we're kind of past the part now, but the ships of the type of the Milano here, just
Yeah.
the way it moves around, the whole just like wings that are moving, and you can see the thrusters actually. We just Kevin Bacon,
We're just like Kevin Bacon.
just like Kevin Bacon.
I like how the design of the city below them, Xandar, it's very similar to a lot of concepts that they tried to build over in Dubai with like artificial islands, but done in a more competent way because those islands did not last.
Yeah. But here, I mean, because how would you, kind of make this work in atmosphere, and having basically your thrusters be able to, completely rotate around and do crazy things, would be a way. I mean, we see that, today in modern fighters with vectored thrusters and
Yeah.
vectored thrust and stuff.
So,
So
this ship's name is the Dark Aster, which essentially means the Dark Star. And I don't know. It's kind of a cool name. I like it.
it is cool.
But yeah, now that you're saying it, I am getting Tholian web off of this. I don't know why I never attributed it to the Tholian web. Because this would have only been 10 years after the updated version of the Tholian web seen in the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly. Part 2. Yeah, part 2.
Now this is where,
Um,
like, all right, like, do you do a couple of 1,000 little thrusters better than 4 big ones?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And the thing is, I could think of practical uses as to why that type of
Well,
interdiction
if they're
ability
police
would be useful.
forces, but to say if they're a police
Yeah.
force built mostly to apprehend and not kill people, then it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, or if there's like a rescue going on, right? There's a ship coming in,
Oh yeah,
and you
heck
need
yeah.
to take care of it.
Well, it's also why
It's just
with the lanterns rings, the rings being so versatile that they'd be so good for more than just offense. To be able to use them for
yeah.
police work, essentially, right?
I dare say they'd be even better than defense than they would offense.
Yeah, yeah. Like obviously they can be, but yeah, they would be incredibly useful with defensive and rescue operations, and capturing, obviously. It's really pretty. I just like to say the cinematography in this, or just the way they got the lighting, because you can tell like they got the individual points of light like on the characters as they're walking around. You can see the little, I'm not sure how they did this practically on the set, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Especially on, I feel like on
I
Drax,
also
you
wondered
see it the
about how they
best.
did the lighting.
You see it best on Drax's skin, just as he's walking.
Yeah. Because they don't give Groot a lot to do, so when they give him big moments, they give him big moments.
A little bit of of an indie moment there, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But also, it's a what you call it, right? It's a that thing. Blah, 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 blah. It's the character moment where Drax has officially joined the group, He has friends. This Sakari in here, where you see its face and it's this gross beetle-like thing, is actually Mo Captain, voiced by James Gunn himself.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. This is a cool scene.
It is. It really shows off this thing. I did not expect this scene at all. It's such a because they end up using it so well in the second one. Oh my god, that scene's amazing.
Yeah.
With the Jose song. Come
Just
a
that
little bit closer, you're
Yeah.
my kind of man.
Well, and then having everybody kind of, drop at the same time, it just like it adds a little bit too. Man.
It feels like a western. That moment when a guy like quick draws and just bang, 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 bang,
And then
and
everybody
then they
falls
all
down.
fall, and he spins his gun back into his holster.
Nebula. They did a good job on,
Dude,
on the,
Nebula-
the effects there for her coming back together.
I love Nebula as a character. They did really good growth with her. And
Yeah, this movie she doesn't get a ton, but they really she has one of the best character arcs of almost anybody throughout the Infinity Saga.
they really and they set her up well. She's memorable. They show her as somebody who's gonna come back, somebody with baggage.
Okay, one thing that did bother me here is there not a single ground to air weapon on this planet? Like, or do
I
they
guess
just
that they're-
entirely rely on their ships? It just seems odd to me.
It does seem a little bit strange. But look, they've got Ravagers. Yay for the pirates. Which again is kind of a bummer because a lot of these heroic characters now with the Ravagers
orders
end up
from a
being the
hamster.
ones that
Sorry.
Rocket and Yondu kill.
Yeah.
Finally. You see, I remember during this time in movies, like there was a 3 or 4 year period where I was watching movies and I was specifically waiting for like, when is the next great one-on-one fight scene, that I'm going to remember forever going to happen. And
was
Captain
in the
America
movie
Winter
before
Soldier
this.
had just come out.
About to say,
Yeah.
it's the movie right before this, unfortunately.
But I remember like waiting for something really impressive in terms of like a hand-to-hand superhero fight scene to come up, and it never quite did. They're not bad. They're just not quite there.
Well, and I think again in this movie, this is a good scene here, by the way. Just the idea of like there's your ground to see Nova Corps. You should have had a few of these, just so you're saying, just saying. Next time
Yeah, you need some
you're
flak
designing
cannons,
a
okay?
city, throw a couple of these in there. Wouldn't hurt.
But if you had really good energy weapons and energy batteries, that thing of them all setting up in the river, kind of stacked and like forming almost that V-like fan of projectiles would be a decently effective covering fire strategy.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I'll say is they give Peter Quill, some of the best like sequences. They're like that whole sequence they just gave him, kind of, scooting with his him using his feet, boosters and his blasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of. Like that was a pretty good sequence.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they give him some good stuff in here.
Oh man.
But this right here, though, this is one of those moments that I remember being reminiscent in the theater of Loki getting beat down in the Avengers.
Yes. I love Drax's reaction to that. Like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah. No,
I
this
will
whole
say
final
that
battle is just good. I'm not going to say it's like the greatest in the world, but it has such good excitement and energy to it that I like it a lot.
It is good, and they managed to hold him for a long time. Like, it's not like one of the things that helps here, I think, is they didn't. A lot of movies would have it fail too soon, and they let it stay up long enough. I don't know to give it some. To not make the Nova Corps seem useless.
Yeah, there's this thing, and I've talked about it a couple times on this podcast, where it really bothers me how they'll, in order to increase the hopelessness of a situation, they'll make it so that the good guys are losing, and it's not just, oh, they're on the back foot. It's like they're losing, and they're everybody's dying, everything's awful, there's no chance of any victory out of this, and it's like it almost makes it makes the struggle seem almost useless. Like, why are you even fighting anymore if you're all just losing? Yeah. An example of this is actually the Battle of Helm's Deep. As much as I love the Battle of Helm's Deep, they lose everybody by the end. There's like 24 guys holed up in the keep, and I'm like, they're going a little bit too far on killing off the heroes and making the situation seem hopeless, because now it just seems unbelievable and like frustrating to watch, Yeah.
And I hear you. I just that battle's so good.
I know. It's not the best example, but it's the one that first comes to mind. But it happens in a lot of books.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier the author Brandon Sanderson, who I'm a big fan of in a lot of his work. But he does that a lot, where he just makes everything so terrible and bad for the heroes before he has his glorious recomeuppance. The glorious victory that kind of makes it all worth it. But I don't know. I don't like that frustration when it just seems so unrealistic that any victory can actually be salvaged that's worth it.
Yeah,
I don't like the idea of a Pyrrhic victory, I guess.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I also, I really dislike the trope. I've talked about this, not in our podcast a lot because we don't do it nearly as much, but, in a lot of military or police focused films or TV series, anytime that you take, the trope of a Delta team or a SEAL team, and they just get like casually wiped out and act, kind of treated like they're just disposable. Fodder. Oh yeah, like fodder. Also, that the hero can have the big moment, and I just like, okay, it's a lazy way to shortcut into, the villain's so powerful because see this group that we've we know is really really good. Look at how easily they get taken out, and so it's just a shortcut without actually, finding a more creative way. And here, if you're gonna go like, the Nova Corps, they're like, this big, this you're people, comic fans know them already, but for people like me who's never read any of these, you're still saying, this is a famous, feared, galaxy spanning organization. If you had come in and just brushed them off without them, putting up any kind of a serious bit of resistance, it would have been like, okay, well then what was the point of even having them there then, other than just to be a plot device? But the fact they gave them enough time and actually showed them, doing something, before they finally, kind of succumbed.
And having that kind of sacrificial nature, but
Yeah.
also the fact that like their sacrifice also led to the Dark Aster itself being downed.
Yeah, their actions kind of gave the opportunity for the heroes to get there. Like their sacrifice meant something.
Yeah, it was pivotal. in
Yes,
that.
so often that kind of a character or that kind of a group being destroyed is inconsequential. It just doesn't mean anything ultimately.
Yeah.
And
then
other
here we
than,
have
than
this,
just to show show something. Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
This is such a great moment because it's like you have the music, which this isn't even my favorite musical part, and actually sounds strangely like Prince of Egypt with the burning bush scene. But this kind of like ball that Groot is forming, it's just cool.
Yeah,
And when you kind of understand what it means, because you're seeing that it's his whole body and it's breaking down, and it's like only his head now. There's just this like, you kind of understand what's happening, and he just says it. You'll die, but it's also like, oh, that's great.
oh, and this little, yeah, they get so much emotion out of Rocket's face,
Yeah, they do.
and this is
And
also
it helps that
good.
yeah, we are Groot.
Yeah,
It helps that raccoons are adorable.
and then
This is rough. Like, okay, we just had 9/11 on Xandar here.
yeah,
Like, that's 1,000 people dead minimum.
oh, at least
Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
it's a densely
I'm
populated
sorry,
city.
I meant 10,000. It's kind of a bummer of a thing.
There definitely
How
is.
do you-
Whenever you have these action scenes in densely populated cities, there's just always in the back of your mind like the amount of civilians and absolutely kids and women who have just like died, and you just kind of we just don't want to talk about that because we need our movie to keep going. It's like the end of Man of Steel, right?
Yeah. That's exactly it.
His tape
How
deck
do you
survives.
feel about this whole thing? With like
The dance-off?
at the end of the universe.
It's what? If it was in any other movie, I would hate it. It kind of just fits in the tone of this movie enough that it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that if Ronan had been a better done villain, I think it would have even been better, but it's just I don't love it. I don't hate it. I mean, it definitely is funny. I think Chris Pratt really, does it the best that it could be done in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rocket.
I
it's
think
just-
that they should have made. I think that Ronan just needed more personality. I think
Yeah.
that it would have helped. This is gonna sound kind of dumb. If Ronan was like shown to be kind of distractible, like to the point of where a dance-off thing, he would sit there and go, What are you doing? It would make sense for his character because that reaction doesn't really make sense,
Yeah. And this, I don't know. This is a little over the top too. Just his whole like, this speech
His
is so
speech.
over the way he gives it. It's just. But
Yeah.
I mean, this is where I
It's
feel
just
like
what?
I think if you had an actor other than Chris Pratt or other than the type of Chris Pratt, this really wouldn't work. But
Yeah.
he just kind of makes it work.
Yeah. Apparently, Chris Pratt had auditioned for a bunch of other movies. Supposedly he auditioned for. A lot of people think it was Fandral, one of the Warriors 3 from Thor. And he just he didn't think he would ever get one of these roles, and then suddenly he's pushed into this lead role, and it's huge. Like it propelled him to stardom, unlike few actors I've ever seen.
I was going to say this earlier in the fight scene once or twice. I do think this movie is decent in its it doesn't overuse its slow-mo. It does
Yeah.
it, tastefully, where it only brings it in here and there. It's obviously not Zack Snyder level, overkill.
No. But Black Tears. That's what it's called. This piece is called Black Tears. Um, the musical score. I love this music right here. It's so good. Tyler Bateman is the
I
name
am a
of
sucker
the
for almost
composer.
anything that's got a choir behind it. So
That's true. I mean, even when they put a choir to Madonna in Deadpool 3.
yeah, but I mean
Yeah.
it works.
I'm not the biggest fan of this. The whole take my hand thing. Like, it's fast enough that it doesn't linger so much that it overstays its welcome. But some movies do very similar things, like the end of Wicked Part 1, where they just linger on it so long that it's just kind of eye-rolling.
Yeah, I mean this definitely has a little bit of an anime vibe to me.
Yeah,
There's a power.
normally
of,
I don't like that, but I really like this ending. I think it's a great climax for a
Yeah,
team movie.
that's for me. I feel like this is like I said. I think if you did this in a different movie, I don't think it would work. But I think in this movie, the way it's been, and with this cast, it does work.
Yeah. Yeah, but this same musical composer, he did a bunch of stuff. He was like, Day the Earth Stood Still, the original God of War, Watchmen, um, the Conan Barbarian that we watched, John Wick, the John Wick series,
You said it yourself.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. And it's
Well,
just that one little moment.
Ronin's gone.
Bye, Ronan. I genuinely think that he's up there with Malekith as just the blandest villains.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that the other Guardians movies did really well was their villains.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was so glad. I mean, and again, Volume 2, when we get there, it's not a perfect film. It's still kind of a mid-tier MCU film for me. But when they announced Kurt Russell, I was like, please don't screw this up too bad. And it was good because I like Kurt Russell a lot. And I was so happy they did not waste his casting.
The moment they announced him as, being Chris Pratt's dad, I'm like, oh, that fits so
It
well.
really does.
Like,
yeah.
he could be the son of Jack from Big Trouble in Little China. You know?
Oh yeah.
They have
totally.
such a similar vibe. I think it's a good one.
Yeah. I appreciate
also
here.
one of the things I
Go ahead. I was going to say they did show earlier that this isn't when this the reveal comes later. It's not out of nowhere. They've shown him sleight of hand before, with the orb off of Gamora earlier in the movie. A few things like that where it's not like out of nowhere.
Yeah. And I appreciate that the wounds that they have on his face and neck are in the same spots that kind of showed him flaying apart under the power of the Power Stone.
Yeah.
And okay, one of the things I genuinely thought that something in Avengers Endgame was going to involve like all of the Avengers having a moment being connected to the Power Stone or one of the other stones like that against Thanos. I thought it was going to be a big thing.
I'm glad it didn't.
I thought it was going to be a callback of some kind, like
Yeah, I'm
a
glad they
moment
didn't.
in the battle where they're able to get one stone away from Thanos. Somebody grabs it, and they you end up like a chain link. Then they're able to have a standoff moment that blows up into something else. I was kind of predicting that would happen.
I could totally see. I guarantee that was on a Post-it note or on a whiteboard somewhere at one point. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they didn't. I mean, the closest thing they ever had to that was when Thanos was fighting Captain Marvel, right? And he pulled one of the stones out and hit her with it.
He pulled the Power Stone out, put it in his fist, and hit her with it. And that's the only way he was able to knock her out. And then he immediately shoved it back in, but it actually keeps a wound on his hand for the rest of the thing.
Aww. Okay, I actually really liked this moment. I just thought that this was... Again, the CG of his hand interacting with Rocket is amazing, but also just the emotional moment there is just like... Because Rocket does not let people treat him like... Yeah, right? Like, for Rocket, that is a big deal to accept that. But and for Drax to show compassion. I don't know, it's a small scene, but I loved it.
Oh, and the behind the scenes filming was hilarious. There's just
Him petting Sean
um,
Gunn.
Sean Gunn in just a green suit sitting there, and he's petting him. Yeah.
Oh man, I do feel
Okay,
like
it's
I feel like Glenn Close could have had more to do, but I also understand like they didn't use her just because they could. 'Cause
well, I don't understand why they used Glenn Close, to
it
be
doesn't.
honest. Like, why is she even here?
I think I really think this is one of those just like people want to be in the MCU and hey, why not? Because there's
Okay,
nothing there's nothing about that role that demands an actress of her caliber.
I really like Gamora's dress. I think it's hot.
It is
Like,
good.
call me weird. I like the look. It's like it's the skirt, the boots, the whole thing without being slutty. I dig it.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Um,
I like to call
Also,
her a
I
lot.
think that they gave her a lot of um, covering, I guess, because
They let her be sexy
it cut
without
down
it
on makeup.
being
You know.
without it being like boobs basically.
Yeah. Well, no offense to Zoe Saldana, but that's not her strong suit.
No, I do have to warn you against breaking any laws of the future. You'd be arrested.
You'll be arrested.
What if I want it more than the
That-
person who has it?
Oh man.
Oh,
Okay,
gosh.
this is weird. This happens every single time I watch this movie. I want gummy candy while watching the end of this movie. I saw it like 3 times in theaters, and I always had Mike and Ike's or something like that. And there's like this Pavlovian response where Zach wants candy.
Also illegal.
Um,
It's like one of the worst ones there is. Sorry, just
Yeah.
that whole exchange just makes me chuckle. Sorry, go ahead and talk about
I
gummy
know,
bears.
it's no, that's pretty much it. I get this weird craving for gummy bears every single time I watch this movie.
Well, see, right now my daughter is baking brownies, and I'm smelling them out of my desk, and so it's making me look forward to those when we finish recording. So that's what I'm thinking about right now when
Share?
it comes to food.
Share?
You want me to mail you some? Oh.
Actually, weirdly enough, brownies aren't my preference.
That's right. More for me.
A lot of people call me weird for this. I don't really care for brownies.
Yeah,
I don't hate them, but they're like in the lower half of my confectionery desires.
It's totally valid. I do like.
Oh my gosh, that's more mercy than most people give me, Brian. Thank you.
Nah, that's all right. I do enjoy this kind of like bow they put on the end here with the gift. I mean, just it's one of those things where like part of it's like all right, he never opened it, and now he will. And it's also just what a gift. Can you imagine what they've established about his character, like what this would mean to him?
Yeah, this is a whole new set of music that harkens back to his, lost family. That he never would have access to.
Yeah. Oh man.
And it also says, hey, now we have a whole another set of music to use in the sequel.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, it's basically saying there will be a sequel, even though
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this has at the end of the credits, right? The Guardians of the Galaxy will return, doesn't it? Have
They-
that tag.
They had a lot of confidence in this movie after the pre-screenings were really good.
Yeah. Well, this was. I mean, didn't this do better opening weekend than Winter Soldier did?
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, sorry. I mean, I like Winter Soldier so much. Like that seems crazy to me. I get after people saw it and kind of such a great, it's just great. And I love his reaction. He's just like, good for you, Quill.
Yeah. After some reshoots were done, this thing had a budget of like $230 million. It made $800 million.
Yeah. But I guess what I mean is I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that this movie did great. I'm surprised opening weekend did because a lot of times you have, an unknown like this, even though it was Marvel, you have an unknown having, a solid first weekend, but then having a very low drop because a lot of people, the word of mouth gets around, right? Versus a Cap sequel would have had a bigger opening weekend because it's more of an established, character. But the fact that this
people
had
were really excited about the MCU by this time, and Word of mouth was already kind of getting out.
Well, and I was going to say too, this movie's marketing, its trailers were so good.
Yeah.
Like there is something to really good marketing. I mean, combined with like like you said, this was a time of just intense excitement and optimism about the MCU, right? Like we
Yeah.
talked about it when we finished the Dark World. Iron Man 3 and Dark World were not well received at the time, but they were still.
No, at the time they were.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm saying compared to Avengers, compared to Winter Soldier. I mean, they weren't like they were fine, but they weren't received as well as Winter Soldier in this and Avengers.
Yeah. But they
people
weren't
were
disliked at all.
yeah. But what I mean is that people were so excited about it. They were excited about the MCU in general enough to kind of not care in a way, because it was just like, well,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's still great. I'm still excited.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that you had Winter Soldier and this as the two movies after those two, just immediately people were like, it's fine. See, it's fine. The MCU is amazing. We're all excited.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, because this baby Groot dance was such a huge thing. Like, it's kind of passe almost to us these days because of like the stuff that you see created in short form videos with people with even just a modicum of talent at visual arts, right?
Yeah.
But at the time that was like baby Yoda almost, you know? In the way that people
2014.
in fact people blamed baby Groot
I'm trying to think.
on baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, baby Yoda on baby Groot.
When did TikTok start taking off in the US? Was that was after?
2016 was around the time of Vine,
Okay.
and then Vine shut down, and then TikTok was around, but it didn't take off until like 2020.
Okay. So in 2014, this would have been, Vine and like probably Instagram, right? Like what was the? 'Cause,
Barely even. Instagram was still primarily photo. The whole short form video thing wasn't.
yeah, it wasn't as big of
wasn't that well established. It didn't really blow up until later.
Because at that point
And-
too, there wasn't video on Twitter back then, right? It was just
No. There was very little video on Twitter,
Yeah.
and most of it being like news stories and trailers. There were no YouTube Shorts.
Yep.
There were no Instagram Reels. None of that had been developed yet.
yeah. Facebook didn't have that format yet. Yeah, it's funny to think, 2000, it's 11 years ago now. That yeah, things have changed. Yeah, no, I like this movie a lot.
Not for the better, in my
as much as I do not universally like all of James Gunn's stuff. I think this movie's fantastic, and I mean honestly, I think that the Guardians trilogy as a whole is a very solid trilogy. So, yeah,
I agree. I think that the Captain America trilogy I like more. I think this might be the best trilogy of movies within actually no. Because it still does rely on Infinity War and Endgame. So there's no truly complete trilogy of movies in the MCU that doesn't rely on an Avengers movie or something else in between to make it make sense.
because Iron Man definitely does need that. I mean, Thor needs that. Yeah, they all
Captain
need that.
America definitely needs it.
Well, and you could argue that Cap's second two films are, light Avenger films.
It's just Avengers film. Yeah, so it's just I was genuinely shocked at how good the third one was. I was really worried about it because you're in a slump.
Yeah,
It's the high point of the entirety of like Marvel in the last 5 years, despite having some amazing other stuff come out amid what you could describe as the slop.
no, I remember seeing that.
So good.
Yeah, I went and saw it in theaters. I need to watch it again because that is one that I saw it in theaters, and then I watched it once, like when it first came to Disney Plus, and I haven't watched it since. I need to rewatch it. I know it the least. Like I've seen this movie, I don't know, probably a dozen times. I've seen Volume 2 probably 4 to 6 times, somewhere in that neighborhood. So the third movie, I don't just know it as well, and I need to watch it again. It is definitely the most serious out of all of them. I mean, and people who are sensitive to animal cruelty, I could totally see why that movie is very difficult to watch. I respect that immensely. But
Well,
it's
even just in
I remember
terms of
it being I remember liking it very much and just thinking like, yeah, this is it's it was one of the high points of the post Infinity War, post Endgame lineup.
yeah, because one of the things like that movie really made me excited for Superman, because there was this um there was the moment where it was directed so seriously, um that I was really excited for Superman, because I'm just like, if he can bring this level of emotion to a Superman movie, I think it's going to be great. And he tried, and he succeeded in some areas and failed in some others. But like, there's this scene where it's the flashback, and they had just killed one of the animals, and you have that digitized kind of high voice of the rabbit yelling "Rocket Floor and Teefs Go Now" over and over and over again. I still have that like burned into my memory as such a strong visceral reaction to that scene, that I can like hear it, and I get it's just like, oh, it's so rare that films and a filmmaker can do that. And thinking about that, and then thinking about my love of some of the scenes from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, especially Rocket and Yondu's escape, mixed with just this fun movie, I I can't understate how much I love this movie that we just watched as a beginning to those great memories of movies
Oh
and
yeah.
filmmaking and stories, and an introduction to these characters that I think are modern classic characters.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I love the little no raccoons or tree creatures were harmed during the making of this film.
Right?
Just a great little disclaimer in the credits.
I love fun disclaimers. I actually can't remember the ending sequence, the end credit scene to this, weirdly.
Oh, it's the Howard the Duck.
Right, Howard the frickin' Duck, voiced by Seth Green of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Mass Effect.
Just the Cosmo dog. What was his name again?
Cosmo.
Oh, just Cosmo.
And it's her actually. Well, technically her name was Lyska or something like that.
Oh, that's
The
right.
Cosmo dog,
Yeah, she died in orbit.
which was, yeah. But no, the introduction of frickin' Howard the Duck. Okay. Oh my gosh, I have a story that I forgot to say. I forgot to talk about. All right.
Go for it.
So this is family friend. His name's Mark, and Mark was a CHP officer for many years. And Mark used to, because one of the things that CHP does is actually security for government buildings, and if they're filming on location anywhere near like a major road, there's going to be a CHP officer on set for security reasons. And he was on the set of a movie called Howard the Duck, the first Marvel movie ever made,
Oh
and
goodness.
one of the worst movies ever made. And he saw this movie being made, and he knew that this is just going to be a piece of crap, a burning pile of just shit. And my dad was talking to him about this movie, and because when the trailers were coming out, and he was just like, "That's going to be another Howard the Duck. I want nothing to do with this movie." He just, because he liked superhero movies, he liked fun movies, and then my dad sees it, loves Guardians of the Galaxy, buys it as soon as it comes out, and then he's on a plane flight with Mark there, because they would go and do Israel tours and such. And he'd be like, "Did you ever see that one?" And Mark was like, "No, it's just gonna be another Howard the Duck. I have no interest in it." And he's like, "No, you'll like it. Give it a chance." And so Mark watches it on the plane, and he's a couple seats down from my dad. And he says that Mark just is busting up laughing the entire time watching the movie. And then he like takes the headphones off, and the credits are rolling. And my dad's like, "No, no, no. You have to wait till the end of the credits." He does. And he said that in the middle of a flight where there's a lot of people sleeping, Mark just busts out laughing the moment he sees Howard the Duck.
I am
And
glad.
it's a funny memory.
I'm glad they never did anything else with it. It is a fun little throwaway. Although it is.
What do you mean never did anything else with it?
With Howard the Duck? Nothing of consequence.
I
at
have
least.
news for you, Brian.
Oh, please don't tell me.
What If?
Oh, okay. I don't care about that.
What If did a couple of episodes heavily involving Howard the Duck, and it's both hilarious and horrible. It's like genuinely stupid, but kind of funny. Essentially, he gets married in Vegas to Darcy from the Thor movies,
Oh gosh.
and they end up having children.
How would I
And
don't
it's
even want to.
bizarre.
How would that even work? I don't even want to think about that
I'm
honeymoon
sure
night.
there's fan art you can look up to find out.
I'm sure there's a rule 64 or whatever that is.
34.
34. Oh gosh. All right, I'm gonna not think about that any
But yeah.
further. I feel like not
they
to
just all that to say they went a little far with it, in my opinion.
yeah. All right. Not to dismiss animated work, because animated work has some of my best stuff ever in science fiction, but I also feel like you can kind of just like it's like a separate set of rules for like you haven't really done anything with it. You know, you just had some fun with it. Versus
But some of the What If stuff was really good.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it doesn't get enough attention.
it is, but I feel like you're also inherently kind of saying this is just a one-off. Here's an idea. We never intended to do anything serious with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. Well, they weren't really one-offs though. Did you watch the What If series?
I only watched the first season.
Yeah, because they all kind of like the seasons would be building up to certain things, and
Yeah.
I thought that they did really well with them. I like them a lot.
I enjoyed the first season. I think I got it got lost in that time where I just stopped feeling the need to see everything Marvel. Just the same. I mean, it happened at the same time with Star Wars, right? Where I'm like, I don't need to see everything Star Wars anymore. I've moved past needing to see everything with that label on it, and just unfortunately, and whenever that happens, you lose some stuff. Like for Star Wars, for instance, I've heard repeatedly, even from notorious kind of modern Star Wars haters, that Skeleton Crew is really good, and I just haven't watched it because I'm just like So that's the unfortunate thing, and that is, I'll just say this as my last point of this podcast. When you let your franchise sag like that, when you let that happen to it, that's one of the things that happens, is that you will lose some good stuff also, because you will get people to stop seeing everything just because it is a Star Wars or just because it's an MCU thing. And so something that could have been good and could have turned into something gets lost because the thing before it sucked. And that's why you need to steward your franchise as well. Sorry, that's my little rant there.
No, you're 100%, because that's what's going on with me right now. For the first time ever in my lifetime, okay, ever, a Star Trek series has premiered, and I did not watch the series premiere.
Yeah, I haven't seen a single episode.
Of
Academy.
in this case, time of recording, Star Trek, Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look interesting. It doesn't look like it's made for me as a longtime Star Trek fan, despite having some amazing talent like Holly Hunter and Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
But it also, and according to the reviews that I've been reading, it is essentially just kind of a Riverdale in space. And it's only 3 episodes in, mind you. But
Yeah.
it's just, that's what happens. And thankfully, Guardians of the Galaxy hasn't done that. They haven't had their characters outstay their welcome. They haven't abused them. Or
they haven't. They were well integrated into the Avenger films they were in. All 3 movies were solid. The Christmas special was really good, and I'm curious. I mean, some of them are slated to be in Doomsday, right?
I don't think so, actually. The only one that we know will eventually return, according to recent interviews anyway, is Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. Dave Bautista says that he has no intention to return as Drax. His story is probably over entirely. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of Karen Gillian as Nebula, but despite the ending of 3, I don't know if we're going to see Rocket's team ever again, especially since, what's-his-face, Bradley Cooper has mostly moved away from acting.
Yeah, he's much more interested in behind the scenes work now as director and writer.
Well, he apparently also had like some intense anxiety issues surrounding acting, and it just like really messed him up mentally.
Yeah.
And he needed to just kind of step away from the world of
Well, he
Hollywood.
yeah, I don't know even remotely all the details of this, but there was he played a year or two. He directed a movie and starred in a movie about what was it? It was a musical. He was like a composer.
It was like a composer.
Yeah, the stories that I heard is that he so desperately wanted an Oscar for that. Like he made it to, like that was the reason he made it. And he was chasing it with like everything he had. And when it was just kind of rejected, I mean, even though it was nominated for a bunch of stuff, I don't think it won a single thing, if I remember right. And that just like really personally devastated him. I remember reading a couple stories about this. That it was just that he got so caught up in it and just so worked up about it that it makes sense to me based on a few things I've read. Because he's somebody who, for the most part, I've enjoyed him in most things I've seen him in.
Yeah.
So,
You
anyways,
said the moment that I need to go home and rethink my life.
yes. I remember him back in Alias, right?
I never saw it.
Oh, you never saw? Okay, anyways, yeah. I mean, it was that was his first big role. He had a major reoccurring role in Alias with Jennifer Garner, and J.J. Abrams, early work. So, anyway, but this has been Guardians, and yeah, great movie. Love this movie, and once we get to Phase 3, I'm looking forward to seeing Volume 2.
Same. There were so many other things I was going to talk about in this one, but I felt like we had so much we could talk about that we used our time well.
All right.
Go research this movie, people. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and definitely go watch the heavy spoilers on this. It's this is such a dense movie, for Easter eggs. It's nuts.
Yeah. Heavy Spoilers is a channel on YouTube that we both really like for their breakdowns and information. The Guardians of the Galaxy 2014 video goes a little bit weird for like the first half, but it's also just filled with so much good information and behind the scenes that I can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, this has been Guardians of the Galaxy. My name is Zach. That's Brian. We're going to go now because I really have to go to the bathroom. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye night.
Good night, everybody.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow, that room will